A very warm welcome back to our final match of the night. It's the PGL Major from Kraków. Day number 1. 7 more days ahead of us. 6 of action from Counter-Strike Global Offensive and 3 more ahead of us of the Swiss group stage format. We're barely into this right now. Our 8th match of the day and our final one of the night involves the champions and the debutantes. That's right. It's Astralis versus Immortals. We're going to get into it now with Sponge and Janko back at the desk as well. Janko, we'll start with the champions, the reigning champions.
Thank you,
Great first game. Not you. You are a champion in my mind, always, Janko. But Astralis, the champions of the last major, of course, very impressive. They've been in the top 4 throughout, all the way through the last 6 months. Haven't necessarily hit the heights that we thought they might go on a bit of a tear and make this the Astralis era, but they could definitely help that over the next 8 days or so,
yes,
by winning this major.
That was the feeling, right? The Kiev tournament, if they won that tournament, you would really feel like it was the Astralis era. But I mean, just the consistency that they've shown ever since Glaive came into the roster, making top 4 at every single showing, it's very impressive considering the competition that we've had ever since in the CSGO scene. Obviously, the real big deal with Astralis at the moment is them skipping ESL1 Cologne, the only team to do so in order to prepare specifically for the major. And now, while I believe that they did do a good amount of preparation and change some things, I think that's going to have a lot more impact on a psychological level rather than on any other level, right, against the opponent. Because everyone's going to think Astralis, they didn't attend Cologne, they must have like changed everything, which then they can use to their advantage.
Yeah, so mind games, in other words. It helps them a little bit in map vetoes, helps them potentially on play style, but also in terms of rest as well. Because although they've been boot camp, although they've been playing, not being on the road and having to fly and check into hotels and being comfortable in the evening, spend some time with friends, that's got to have an impact as well, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the way that, like, how mentally strong these guys are in terms of how professional they approach the game and stuff, this should just be business as usual, right? Some people might be sitting and speculating they could have a bit of ring rust or something like that coming into a match like this, but I agree with you. I agree with Janko's sentiment. I think these guys have had a great opportunity to prepare something amazing for this event. They can prepare on all the teams. They've got to watch all these teams over the slog that has been the last, month and a half, throughout the minor, the qualifiers, all this kind of stuff, all the other events in between. So they have a lot of knowledge of what's coming at them, whereas the other teams, unless they practice them, they don't know what to expect. And in this kind of environment, on a major which they know they can perform well at, you've got players like Device, Kyobi, who always steps up. These guys are veterans really at this point, so very scary for Immortals as an opening prospect.
Yep, you can see one of the key players for the team on the screen right now. Device, just 21. It seems incredible that he's still only 21.
It's crazy, right?
He's got all the years ahead of him still.
I don't even remember 21.
Been here already for a long time, and I mean, Mr. Consistency, right?
Yeah.
Device is always going to put his numbers on the board, the primary opper of the team as well. But interestingly enough, he's not the player that opponents fear when they play Astralis. The 2 names that you usually hear are Kirby and Zipex.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Zipex because of his prowess in clutches and his ability to always be one step ahead of you, and Kirby for his explosiveness, right? We all remember the final of the E-League major and how he was the deciding factor for Astralis in that grand final.
Yeah, you expect the same from here? Do you think this is just a kick-on point for them, that they can move on and maybe claim a second major in a row?
I think it's going to be very interesting. I mean, it goes without saying, right? But I think we're going to see a very, very strong Astralis. The fact that, SK is considered the best team in the world right now, well, you go back to ECS, that semi-final that these 2 teams played against each other, it's been very, very close. So if they meet again in this tournament, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, before the final, even potentially, if one of them slips up on the way. Let's move on. We've got to get through Immortals as well. And I particularly want to pick up with you, Sponge, on this, because they've been that nearly team all the time through the last 2 qualifiers, nearly getting there, going 3-2 or 2-3 in all of them. Finally, they've broken their duck. It seems incredible that we haven't had this team of players play at a major before.
What's more incredible is removing your most experienced player from your team, adding in a guy who has never played at this level before, and then qualifying. Adding this guy of KNG in with... These guys are all very young. Obviously, we have Bolts and Steel who have played at majors before. Yep. These guys have definitely... They've been there. They were playing majors when I was playing majors, right? Yep. So we're rolling back the years a little bit there. But the fact that they haven't made it sooner is a surprise, because the way that this team plays Counter-Strike, it's very explosive. It can be argued as very sporadic, and also very emotional. But even still, they're a very skilled roster, and when they had Fallen as the mentor, basically showing them the ropes and the way to go, it looked like, hey, they're just on this upward trajectory and it's not going to stop. But they have had a few hurdles that they've stumbled over. Now we finally get to see them here, and I hope we get to see a better version of Immortals, not one that relies on the emotion so much. I love the fact that they get fired up. I think that's fantastic. I want to see them with the passion. You want that
loud and leery passion to come through?
That's my favorite style, right? That's what I used to be like. And sure, it's maybe hard to deal with when you have those really low emotional downswings, but I don't think it needs to be like that. I think a team like this are always going to come into a game emotionally high, right? They want to get it going real quick, and that's good. That means they're not going to be slow starters. The only time it hurts them is if they get shut out, and if they can work out how to deal with that and have the best of both worlds, I'll be very impressed, first of all. But they'll be a team to reckon with, really. And in this event, they could be a surprise package. It's hard to call a team like this a dark horse, but it is a major, right? There's so many good squads here.
Yeah, okay. How do you feel about the emotion stuff? Because there's conflicting arguments for this one. One is that, well, actually, they're far too emotional. They shouldn't get so invested in the game. They should calm down. And if they could calm down 25%, that would actually add 10% more focus, and they'd be better in the game. I'm absolutely on Sponge's side. I love that Brazilian, Latino kind of flair and emotion and anger, and it's all kind of built into one thing. If you take it away from them, does that not diminish who they are? Does it not stop them playing perhaps as flary as they can do?
Yeah, exactly. I feel in the long run, they want to tone down on the emotion. We heard it from their coach, Zach, in an interview as well. But I feel right now, Immortals is a team who need that. Like, if they are going to make an impact in this tournament, potentially make top 8, they need to ride off of that emotion, right? You feel that without that extra factor to push them over the edge, they do not have what it takes on a simple Counter-Strike level to beat some of these teams, right? So I think at the moment it is good for Immortals to be emotional. I think it should stay that way, but maybe after this, when they have the break and everything, they should work on toning all of that down and improving their actual Counter-Strike so that they don't have those lows that Chad was talking about.
Yeah, Chad, how important is experience in this team? Because like you mentioned earlier, they've got Steel and Bolts. They have played here before. They have played in the big majors. How good is that going to be for the rest of the team?
I think it's perfect because they're already the backbone of the squad, right? It's not like they're the stars who... it's always good to have a star, but when we have an emotional squad with the stars who are flashy, then you've got the backbone setting them up. It's quite nice, and it means that they're always going to have that level-headed approach to it. These guys are like, hey, we've been here before, it's just... It is a major. But, they can give them, I guess, a bit of advice on what to... Actually, what am I even saying? These guys by this point should be fine. Yeah. They should be fine in this environment. What am I saying? Let's not beat
the only one that perhaps might have is KNG, yeah.
And he seems very cocky, so I can see him not really having any issues in that regard,
just
right?
Bounces off him.
Yeah, you got the trio of Lucas, KNG, and Henny. They all seem like they got a little gang going on there, right? So they have a bit of swagger about them, and that's the way they approach the game. The way that KNG plays, when he finds space, he always punishes the opposition, and I think that's very indicative with maybe his personality.
Is it important, Janko? I mean, it is important for every team to get off to a good start here, but is it important to these guys in particular because of the emotions? Because if they get off to a good start, do you feel maybe they can go on a run? If they go the other way, do you feel like, it might be going the wrong way straight away?
I think it's not necessarily important for them to have a good start. I think what's more important for them is if they have a good start or once they string a couple of rounds together, not to lose a lot of consecutive rounds, right? Once they get on that emotion hype train, once they start rolling and start screaming and all of that, that kind of needs to happen every 2 or 3 rounds, right? They need to have a good moment for that to keep happening, because if they lose like 4 or 5 rounds in a row, that's where you feel like it's completely gone, and the chance of them coming back after a period like that in the game is very, very slim.
I'm going to move towards the map vetoes very shortly, so let's turn our attention to maps, because in many ways Immortals probably don't have as deep a map pool as Astralis. We talked about Astralis being the first team to get a 7 map pool and being able to play pretty much anything, and it's not going to change here, so presumably the veto process here hurts Immortals more than it does Astralis.
Yeah, I would think so, but I still think we can end up on a map that will be okay for Immortals. I look to Astralis and I feel that Cobble, Cash and Mirage are going to be their 3 bans. On the other side, Immortals have a clear nuke ban, also probably going to get rid of Overpass, and at that point Inferno and Train, I think Immortals are, between those 2 maps, more willing to go on Inferno. We've seen at the last tournament them considering Inferno perhaps even their go-to map. So I think in that sense it's pretty clear-cut.
Yeah, I mean, Train as well for Immortals, they've only won 3 out of the 8 that they've played on it in this year, so it's not been a particularly fun map for them to play on.
I think you have to look at the level of teams they're playing on that, right? And maybe it's domestic matchups. I know they play Cloud9 on that quite a bit, so that might be a bit of a back and forth affair. There's counter-stratting, mind games, all that stuff that goes into this. With the maps of Train and Inferno in mind, right, you have to look at the key players for Immortals on that to step up. If you're talking about your cobbles, which you're not going to get to, that's one where I can actually see Steel and Bolts having a good game. But when you move over to a Train and Inferno, that is where it is KNG and Henny, right?
Yeah.
Like the AWP impact on the CT side on Inferno, if we do make it there, is they can set up a very powerful double AWP setup. On the T side of Train, they even run double AWP. So either of those maps I can see being very AWP heavy and those guys having to have a good game.
You see the players just getting their final setups done and heading into the lobby.
They're taking their time, Paul. That's what they're doing.
I think
they're chilled out.
One potential like bait here for Immortals might be Overpass, because statistically they've been good on the map. I mean, they've only lost it once in the last 3 months, but you know, some of the wins have been, yes, G2 at Pro League finals, but you know, Luminosity, CLG, Hellraisers, good teams but not best, while Astralis has been undefeated bar that one loss to Liquid that we've seen, which was, you know, I think that was an anomaly because Liquid doesn't even play the map in general, so I think Astralis maybe just had an off map in that sense. So that might be something that Immortals fall for, thinking, yeah, our overpass is good enough, but I don't really think you should play overpass against Astralis here in a best of one. Inferno would be much more better.
Yeah, not only that, right? You need to play towards your strengths with your Immortals right now because you don't have a lot to go off from Astralis. They've had a longer boot camp period to prepare, so you have to be confident in your game style, I think. Obviously, looking at the tendencies, you know, that's very important to see how people like to play areas and stuff to exploit. But it just, for me, it has to be the confident brand we've seen from Immortals if they want to, you know, have any shot in this game. It's not going to be them, you know, taking their time studying every little play that Astralis can do, because we always hype on how good SK are at theory. Well, Astralis, they're probably maybe not as good, but they are they're well practiced in the sense of they know how to react in a lot of situations. So they're definitely up there on that level with SK.
Another problem for Immortals is, you know, Chad pointed out how they're an explosive team, right? A lot of flair, a lot of individual plays. Well, Astralis is most likely the best team in the world at shutting down individual plays, right? On their own T side, when Astralis is on the T side, they do a very good job of, when they want to take map control, of using their utility properly, using pop flashes, using Molotovs to clear out some you know, close corners or some spots. So it's going to be very, very difficult for Immortals to utilize Henny, to utilize KNG in a manner in which they could get an early advantage and then play off of that.
Got Zonic in the background there, the coach, Danny Sorensen, of course, legend from the 1.6 era of Counter-Strike, and a man we should also say is a big part of their improvement over the last 12 months as well.
Yeah, without a doubt. From what we know, he helps a lot with communication, with preparing for opposition. I don't think he has a huge say in the actual in-game leading. Obviously, if he sees something which Glaive maybe and the rest of the team misses during a game, he is going to call a timeout and point things out. But I think without a doubt, having someone as experienced as Zonic is going to benefit this team a lot.
Dupree's happy right now.
Dupree's always happy. I've known that lad for a long time, and he's always joking around. I think he is the joker in the pack for the team, and I'm hearing that they are just entering all the lobby now, and we will be getting underway with the vetoes momentarily.
If we, in the interim, I suppose what we can build on is we do talk about, you know, flashiness and explosiveness. The thing that KNG and Henny, those kind of players thrive on, is finding good timings. And I know that sounds really weird, but as a player myself, I remember sometimes everything would just be coming your way, right? And the way that they approach the game isn't really consistent. The frags aren't always going to be in the same place, whereas if you're a methodical team like Astralis, on the CT side, you understand how to play the rotations, etc., you're always going to be consistent. And I think that's like a big difference. We have a contrast of styles here between these two teams. We have one team who can play slow, fast, very execute heavy, fundamentally sound of Astralis, and then you have Immortals who, sure, they have strategies, sure, they can, you know, dabble in everything, but they really rely on people finding frags that they're not always going to. And that's just a scary prospect going into a matchup like this.
And to add to that, that's one of the main reasons why Device is so consistent as a player, you know, because going into a round, he knows what are the positions that he needs to keep an eye out for. When an execute comes in, he knows the angles that he needs to worry about, you know, not to take away from him as a player, but that just adds to Astralis as a team. That's what enables you not, because that's where you find inconsistency from, where you have to look 3 different ways. You're unsure where your opponents might be and all those sorts of things, while Astralis actually with their team play puts their players in a position where when the execute actually comes in, they're going to be the ones having the advantage when it comes to the actual duels.
It's not just understanding where the opponents are, it's also understanding where your teammates are as well, isn't it? In the sense of, I know he's in this particular position, therefore I don't need to look this way, or I can trust him to do that job so I don't get backstabbed or whatever. There's a lot of that going in. I guess the trust is all around that team.
Yeah, playing for each other, obviously a big part of any team, and not having egos in a sense that you have to be willing to sacrifice for your teammate and vice versa.
You build that in different ways though, right? Like we can go real deep on this. You either have natural chemistry just from playing with teammates for a very long time.
Or you take chemicals.
Okay.
Wow, that got out of control really quickly.
Or you have to have the theory side, right? You have to have the theory side down where you really talk about every situation, right? So I think the natural chem is something which is more like a Fnatic-esque style thing, which is
more like you guys were originally.
We just ran around and
Fnatic has not this Fnatic last year.
Yeah, the new Fnatic, they're trying some new things. I'm on the Fnatic hype train for this event. I'm going to see them. They're going to make it out of the group.
Yeah. He put them in his pick'ems as well. I did.
Pick'ems?
I didn't use that.
Man, when do I get to load up Counter-Strike?
Well, that's just sad, Chad.
It is.
It is.
That's really sad.
And he rejected to play in the show match, funnily enough.
I wanted to give a chance to everybody else. You know, I've played in enough show matches already.
Yeah.
There's never such.
This is a sore subject for me right now.
You didn't even get invited.
I didn't even get an invite.
I wanted to cast the show match with Fifi, so I don't know if that's happening.
Really? I thought you were captain.
You know what's happening, Chad?
No.
The vetoes are.
Lovely.
Awesome. We can talk about something far more sensible than the show match right now. Immortals have banned out Nuke and Mirage.
Why did they veto Mirage?
Sorry, what?
Yeah, that's odd. Astralis have gotten rid of Cobble, Cash, and Inferno.
And they lost the veto.
So it's...
Which means we get to Overpass.
They picked Overpass.
Yep.
So everything we discussed about 5 minutes ago
sinker
has basically gone out of the window.
Okay, so let's look at potentially why Immortals may have picked that. We touched on a little bit. There's a chance for them to do a lot of prep. No, they could have prepped a lot, right? I think like there's tendencies that have been exploited, especially by FaZe. You can see FaZe in the past have shown, hey, look, there's little tells that these guys on Astralis have. Zipmix is always over at the backyard of B, right? We always know he's going to be there. If you spot anybody else in that sewer section of the map, if there's 2 players there, it's likely they're doing the patented Astralis B execute. And at this point, if
teams... stolen?
No, they made it.
Yeah, no, I know. Everyone else has stolen.
I'm happy for people to steal strats. That's the best thing to do as an in-game leader. Don't do all the work yourself. Let someone else do it. Take it, put it in your back pocket, have a huge arsenal.
I concur.
Yeah, you don't need to do any extra work, right?
But this is Astralis' best map.
Okay, we don't know what Astralis' best map is.
Well, all right,
right?
I'm just going on statistics.
But they can't have become...
Stats, man, they don't lie, right?
They couldn't have become
8 out of 9 in 2017, Yanko.
They couldn't have become significantly worse on it with time to practice, surely.
Well, they skipped TSL1 Cologne, so that's obviously why.
And the thing is, like with Immortals, the way they play, Overpass, they're just going to get crushed on this map. Like, I think this is a huge mistake from them, first vetoing Mirage. Because if you're Immortals and you're playing a team like Astralis, you want a puggy map. You want, like, a Mirage, Inferno, or Cash, somewhere where you can run around and make individual plays, right? On Overpass, you need to have that cohesion. You need to be very, very regimented in the way you play your T side, right, to fight off that aggression. Even on the CT side, yes, you need to go for risks, you need to go for plays, but you need to do so in a calculated manner. And I was saying how Astralis, on Overpass, without a doubt, the best team on the T side at not getting picked off, and then the best team at closing out rounds once they get map control. The thing we saw Navi and G2 struggle at, that's where Astralis excels at. So I really have a tough time seeing Immortals like getting even close to Astralis on this map.
High five from over this side of the table. Let's find out from the man who will have an opinion on this, I would guess, and see if he can ask the right questions of the manager on the Immortals side. Scoots has a man with him right now.
Thank you, Red Eye. Yes, I do have a man with me. The man is Zach. He is the coach/manager of Immortals. First off, nice to officially meet you. We've talked all year long, but really nice to meet you.
I'm the same. You're a legend.
Oh, stop it.
The pleasure's mine.
Oh, stop it. Now let's get into this. Let's first set up the stage. You guys have been very busy the last 3 months. On LAN, you've played 45 maps. And guys next door have played a grand total of 18 maps. They didn't go to Cologne. They've had a few events, you know, the Clash for Cash, but they haven't traveled very much. You guys have been all over the place, domestically as well, internationally. So you've got a lot more Counter-Strike in you. Is that good or bad, do you think?
I think it's good because our team learns a lot when we play on lands. Like, even if we lose, we learn way more than on practice. So I feel that it's a huge advantage.
So staying home is going to hurt them, is what you're saying.
No, it works for my team, but for them, I don't know.
Give me
Yeah,
something,
I
Give
don't
me
know.
something.
I don't know. I don't
Tony
know.
can't hear you. It's all right.
I know, but I respect him. They're one of the best teams in the world, and I don't know. Maybe they practice way more than we did, but we learn way more because of the tournaments.
Okay, now let's step into what you guys have been up to. Obviously, very passionate team. The analyst desk has been talking about your passion. You've talked in interviews about the passion levels of your team. You know, you kind of got scolded at the last tournament for yelling too much and getting too emotional. How does that work? It can be a very emotional high, but those emotions can go really south quick. If you always have to be really loud and then all of a sudden no one starts talking, it can be worse.
Yeah, our communication is always on point, even if we were losing rounds. But what concerns me is like when we lose too many rounds in a row and no one is shouting. Like, I feel that the energy goes so down, and it's like I said on an interview last week, that is something that I want to work on the next tournaments. But it's a two-way, it's a two-way thing. Like, if we're winning and shouting, I don't think they can stop us.
So it's just trying to find that middle ground that works for you, where you're winning more, it doesn't affect you on a negative. Now let's talk about your friends in SK. Obviously, fellow Brazilians. How is that relationship? Are you all buddies? Do you look up to them? Do you want to beat them? Are they like your mentors? Or how does that work as a bunch of Brazilians?
I think they were our mentors, like in the past when they were Games Academy or Temple Storm. Right now we are like rivals, but really good friends. We love each other. We talk all the time, but not a lot of things in the game. But they're friends.
Gotcha. Good to hear. And then last but not least, let's talk about these vetoes. So first little statistic is this is the first time the high seed has given away their advantage, so to speak, of the first bans, and Astralis gave that to you. So you guys banned 2 maps, and they banned 3. You end up on Overpass, which the analysts are really curious as to why you would pick arguably their best map, if not one of their best maps. What was your strategy on this whole? First off, you probably didn't expect Astralis to give you the first choice, but walk me through your whole process.
Actually, we did, and we knew for like 3 weeks that we were going to play Overpass, because like our choice was to play Train or Overpass, because our bans would be Mirage and Nuke against them anyway, and we are not so confident after our last maps in Cologne. We played 2 trains and they were like super bad, and that's not a very comfortable map for us right now. Even that we put a lot of hours after Cologne, and those 3 days we practice, but we feel more comfortable on Overpass. We beat SK, we beat G2, we beat super good teams on Overpass, and let's see how good they are.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sends a message if you beat them on that map. So I'm going to let you go, get back to work. Good luck with your match, and we'll see you tomorrow, I'm sure. That's it for us. Thank you, Red Eye.
Well, you know what the saying is. You know for sure which map you're going to play. How do they predict vetoes 3 weeks out before even knowing whether they've qualified or who they were going to play? But that's extraordinary, Zach. He's like an oracle. I wonder if he's got the lottery numbers for next week as well.
I would love them right now.
I think he could. No, you can't predict one of the 2 maps because you know your 3 bans. You know that Astralis is going to veto Cash and Cobblestone, so it has to be one of the 2.
Scoots made the perfect point. How does he know they were going to give him the veto? How did they know that?
I don't think that would change all too much because both teams will get to veto 3 maps. But regardless of what he has to say, no matter how much you prepare for Astralis, how much can you prepare for a team that skipped a tournament in order to prepare specifically for the major? That's one thing. Another thing is, Astralis is so fundamentally good. It's like very difficult to prepare against them. And we also see Astralis at ECS willing to adjust because they figured out that teams were playing like more aggressive against them, doing sometimes, going for stupid calls because they could expect Astralis to do the fundamental thing, and Astralis started taking more risks recently. So I don't think this is going to work out at all for Immortals.
Okay, we're going to hear from both of you at the end of the match, but I'm hearing that the players are ready to get underway in our final match of the night. It's Astralis versus Immortals, the champions versus the debutants. Let's hand it over to 2 old hands in the commentary box. It's Dan, of course, and James.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Paul. This is quite an interesting matchup. I think I'm with Yanko here. I mean, it's very hard to topple just the level of experience and just how good at the fundamentals of Counter-Strike Astralis are. That's their bread and butter. They're hard to stop when they just get going in that way.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Immortals do on this one. Good to see that they had an expectation and therefore prepared for this map, but where will it take them? How well can they do? Astralis, we'll see how well they can adjust to some surprises that might come the way from Immortals. And Immortals are going to be starting on the T side, so perhaps that's where they will show us most of what could be considered their surprises. Maybe a minute or two before this match begins. And I know that a lot of Brazil are going to be tuned in for this one. From what I can see, I opened a lot of sticker capsules, Dan. And I think Immortals have some of the most expensive signatures on the market at the moment, which is pretty cool for all involved. But you know, that's all well and good, but it's about winning these matches, their first major. Finally, the Immortal side. And you know, we've spoken to Steel. We've had him in our studio when they were playing some LAN matches in our league, and he said that there's no like captain of the team at the moment. You can see, you know, look at other Brazilian teams as well. Look at SK, and by far, like, Fallen is the captain of the team. He's the fearless leader of the team. But Immortals have missed that in the past, and I do hope that one of their players develops into that role for the team, because I think that can add a lot to just general decision making. Like, if you know, if that guy is dead and he's looking at what the other guys are doing, just making sure everything's in tune, because maybe it's a situation where without a captain they have too much respect for each other to kind of to overreach, whereas, you know, the captain will be like, this needs to happen, blah 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 blah. Anyway, the match is soon to begin. One more player to vote, and we will be kicking things off. Astralis on the CT side, and there it is. The warm-up has reached its conclusion, or it will do actually, in fact, in 60 seconds. So I think it was Na'Vi CT side we saw 4A and 1B, if I remember correctly. I think Edward was on his own towards B. Or am I going crazy?
Every so often. I mean, they mixed up their setups fairly frequently, but I think this is potentially the worst case scenario that Astralis get to start off on the CT side, because I think Immortals, you know, in the past they had the likes of, you know, KNG, of course, as well as, or King, as well as Kayanje, or whatever you want to go with, as well as of course Henny on the AWP to play the picks. But the thing is that Astralis are very, very good at not only applying aggression very safely on the CT side, but also putting you in a spot where you'll waste loads of time if you play for picks, because they're so good. Like, Device almost never puts a foot wrong with his AWP. He's almost never going to ever extend in a way where, you know, you're going to be able to get this like 50-50 duel with him. He's always going to try to play and create an advantage, and that's one of the reasons why he's found so much consistency over the years, and why he can just quietly have that 30 bomb, you know, in the match. So I think this is going to be a very rough start for Immortals. But again, it's the first game here for Astralis. I'm curious how they're going to start things off.
Yeah, and best wishes to Device as well. He's had some people close to him pass recently, so hopefully he can keep his focus in the game for this one. 5 Kevlars on the Astralis side, on the CT side. In fact, there are 10 Kevlars on the server. The odd decoy here and there. $50 perhaps down the drain on that one. Though you can kill someone with a decoy explosion, let alone collision. But enough about nerdy decoys. The T's moving towards the A site. Device and Dupree backing off and haven't quite spotted these terrors making their way to their area.
And Device at the ready with the USP. Some info. He hasn't got too many teammates here, and you hate to see that one. Just getting tagged straight away in the head. 10 HP, can't take any more engagements. 1 bullet and he's done. Has to let his teammates do a bit of work here, free him up a bit. Kirby could be the one here coming in from the flank, able to take down the player planting the bomb just in the nick of time there. The bomb has to be collected and the plant attempt has to come in once more. A lot of stress here for Immortals.
Yeah, but there's stress for Astralis as well, because they are 2 men down at this point. The bomb finally planted. There's lots of time to do so as well. Not so much pressure for that to happen, and all the pressure is on the shoulders of Kiabi. This round is no time massage for the man. KNG tagged, but again, the numbers game is just too great, and they'll let one person peek, and that'll be Bolts, and he will do the job. So Immortals off to a good start, and that's going to be the hype train started straight away. Pretty much every member of that team is the Flavor Flav. They're all hype men screaming at their area, and the way the setup is in the studio segment, there is I don't know, maybe 5 meters separating the 2 teams, so that screaming may be heard. There may be even vibrations.
And one thing this is, well, one of the reasons why this obviously is incredibly good for Immortals is to get this pistol round under their belt. Obviously, they need to be able to convert this next round, which could feature a force buy from Astralis. I think that is what they're actually going to be going for. At least I can see that. We see a scout on the device there as we have this technical pause underway. But one thing that Astralis are really good on their gun rounds with is that aggression. Again, Kirby will get himself towards that bench position around the fountain, and he'll have some cover with him, and they'll play, rifles around. Their device will be up there as well, helping out, and they can often do a lot of damage from these positions. So this is something that, again, Astralis, they've played so many high-profile overpass games, and really shown pretty much the full variety of what they're capable of doing. So there is ample information out there as to how they play. But the question is, once again, even if you know what they're doing, are you going to be able to best them in the fundamentals of Counter-Strike to actually capitalize? That's really the question of this matchup here, and we'll see whether now Immortals can deal with these pistols and the Scout at device.
Nice tag from device to get things underway. And Immortals, I mean, we've seen a number of situations in rounds such as this, the second round, where there is a Scout in play, where the Scout does enough maiming that the pistols finish things off later on. So you saw that device was, he was a lone ranger there, making his way up with the Scout, doing some initial damage, which there's a fair chance that'll get finished off later on. Astralis playing in the sites. Again, when the map was new, many eco rounds, or force buys rather, from CT sites, they just stayed in sites, although Astralis now on the move towards Connector. I think they're going to boost outside Connector looking into the window. And there's another tag.
Yeah.
I think if there are 3 tags before an Astralis player is picked off, I would almost favor Astralis to win the round.
And this in the past has been an issue for Immortals. If there's a Scout on the map like this, the worst possible thing is to allow device to just have free reign like this. You kind of want to group up, you want to use your utility, you want to prevent the Scout from being able to get these picks because, okay, no kills just yet, but 2 tags, he can very well get another one. And those deagles, his pistols start to become incredibly deadly. Just one shot and you can get a kill off those things. Device, he's still alive at the moment, although these players are coming in. Another tag. So he's done a lot for his team here, but can they close down these weakened players? Yeah, this is huge damage. Glaive with a 2K. The numbers slightly in favor of Immortals, and now it's much better. Depex alone with the 5-7. Pulse is still full health, and Henny really needs to wait for his teammate to come and join him. The time, though, that was really awkward. 7 seconds on the clock, but they make it work. And there's a very weird science around those rounds where there's a Scout and the Scout start to tag people, because so often when we commentate these matches, we see the team with the guns just play slow, 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 and the tags continue and continue. Yep. And I really feel like that weird vacuum, needs to be looked at, and how you approach with like an anti-scout strategy, in fact, when that kind of thing is going on. And it's got to be map dependent as well. Yeah, and it can be a double-edged sword to use smoke grenades in some respects, because then the pistols, if they're close, they can actually play around the smokes pretty effectively, and it can get a bit awkward, but we'll see. 3-man boost. Yeah, a cheeky 3-man boost, just with the USPs here, and just no buy whatsoever. Of course, from Astralis, they need this full save to buy in the next round, but and one argument is, a lot of teams, they just say, you know what, we're just going to go monster tunnel. Use some nades. If they have a Scout, there's nothing that they can really do, and we'll have the bomb down. So they eliminate a lot of variables that way. But Immortals, again, very passive here, and they just don't want to take any risks so far. And all they have really is one man, which is Steel, moving down through Connector. And that can be dangerous when there's a lot of pistols on the server, because they'll often congregate around these close quarters, and Steels alone could give up an AK-47 potentially. He's the guy with the only grenades on the team, so definitely a risk, and Astralis are going to rotate here. In that respect, we have seen some development with the approach of T's on the anti-eco through Connector, where they'll come in towards the upper area at the same time, and it makes life very strangling for the side. Got to be careful now. The bomb's been spotted for the CTs, and now the bomb has been lost. KNG simply hanging around too long. Like, why is he there that long on his own with the bomb? There are 30 seconds left. Fortunately, some more CTs have been picked off, so it should be salvageable, but they really need to get that bomb quickly. Kiabi's got an AK, Lucas getting picked off, and Henny has finally rescued it. But it's unnecessary errors like that which can be the difference between winning and losing. Like, you don't need to stand there and kill every single player when, if you die, there are colossal problems for your team. That's very true. And I mean, if Kirby even just saves this AK, that is really huge into the next round. You're going to save yourself, obviously, the 2,700. Well, even more than that, because if you buy up an M4, you're going to be spending 3,100 there. So really nice for Kirby to save that additional money. Means more grenades, perhaps later on.
The AK can make the difference, though.
That's very true.
M4, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Two players shoot each other in the head. If you're first with the CTs and you have an AK instead of an M4, then that might be the round.
And also with Kirby, again, as I mentioned previously, he's often going to be, if they go for an aggressive play towards the fountain on the A side of the map, he's going to be the guy that's going to push towards the bench. So he's going to be the guy that will get flashed in, to try to make that play. So at least that's typically how it has been in the past. I'm not sure if they've mixed it up for this major. As mentioned, they have taken a tournament off to prepare for this major. So there could be quite some changes, as it's once you're on the top, everybody's looking at you, everyone's got all that data on you and how you play. You've got to be able to mix it up. Being on top is hard.
So it's buy time, the buy round, they're all important. And for me, it's all eyes on Immortals. I'm going to have a personal focus on Immortals because I do feel like they are the underdog. So I'll leave you to focus on Astralis. That doesn't mean I'm commentating one half of the match, but I'm interested to see what they can do. Astralis with a very fast takeoff B. The flashbang is perfect. There's a 2K from them. That is a very strong start to the round. Immortals immediately almost completely disabled. 5 versus 3 with a minute 30 on the clock. Not the start they wanted.
And again, it's something that Astralis are good at. They'll take an aggression, a quick aggression. They'll find the best ways to make it safe with utility, and then they'll get straight out of there. And sometimes they do it in a way in which they may not get frags from it, but the opponents will feel the pressure, and they'll have to invest utility and then taking that part of the map away. Because you might see Astralis pushing, making sure their opponent knows about it, and they'll fall back before they even take an engagement, just to create questions, just to burn utility for the Ts. And it's the philosophy of playing aggressively to play passively, effectively, essentially. That's the ethos there.
For those of you in GoTV, on the CT side, I would recommend Device because he's kind of like the Shang Tsung of AWPers at this point. He's kind of absorbed the souls of everybody else and tried to make himself an amalgamation of all of them. On the T side, Dan, who would you opt for?
Oh, to watch?
Yes.
On the T side?
Yes.
Pretty good Bolts, actually, although he's the IGL.
Yeah, I was between Henny and Bolts, but I'll leave it to you. Anyway, Immortals pushing with what remains of them onto the B bomb site, and they might just get a chance to plant the bomb. Dupree picked off by Henny as well. Henny, a wild AWPer and dependable. He delivers the kills, and so does KNG. Well, he needs to on this occasion, can't quite do it. Though, do they realize where Henny is? And there are two angles you can play around the barrel position. And it will be Henny missing the first shot. He gets a fast shot onto Device. Tries to fake with a pistol, not quite going to work out. And now he needs to save. Astralis win a round.
Yeah, and it's obviously a very important round to win for Astralis, that first buy round. Obviously, previously, Kirby had saved the AK, picked up a couple kills with it, and actually built up quite a lot of money there, saved the AWP for his team. And here's that aggression we saw towards the tunnel, basically blowing up the attempt to take over sewers from the Immortals. And that's not only 2 kills, but it's also, it forces the T side to be in a position where it's like, okay, whatever plan we had in this round, we've got to now make a new one on the fly to try to win this round. They did a good job trying to get that round 1. Got a bomb down and everything, got some kills, got some damage in there. Very valiant attempt for Immortals. And now here is their opportunity to potentially put pressure on the wound.
Dupree and Kiabi fishing towards long. Not quite getting anything, but again, that kind of presence will force Immortals' slow approach to this round to continue to be slow. There's a minute 10 on the clock, so we'll see how long it takes them to, for example, get towards the toilets position. Because Lucas, Henny, KNG haven't really moved just yet.
And look, this is exactly what I was talking about. You can see that Astralis had like a 4-player investment, and it kind of looks like they're going to be aggressive. The T's feel the aggression, but then they fall all the way back without really taking any proper engagements for kills, and they completely change the setup. It's hard to read, and Boss doesn't care about reading it. He's just going to go for an entry play. Doesn't work out. Now Immortals are down to 4 men. And Astralis are really in control of this round so far, but there's still a salvageable situation with 35 seconds remaining.
It's taken them 35 seconds to make their way towards the toilets as well, Immortals. So Astralis bought themselves a lot of time, and now they're all passing Kiabi, and I don't think anyone's going to check this position. So if his teammates can employ some delay tactics, killing is a good one from Device, and Kiabi can come in from the back and completely shut this round down.
Man, honestly, Astralis, they are so good on this. This is again why the desk was so kind of dumbfounded by the choice here for Immortals to go to overpass. I think, again, this is very early days, but that's a round which can show you how dynamic the entire team can be, because they have these aggressions. They've got, you know, situations also where when Device first picked up the AWP in the previous round, he's playing on B, and this is the thing with Device. You kind of usually expect him to maybe be anchoring around A long, but he actually just moves all over the place. It's very hard to predict where he's going to be, so to counter him, you can't really do it very effectively because it's so unpredictable. And here he goes. Oh, it's got a wealth of targets to go for. It's like a kid in a candy shop. Which one do I pick? And now Kirby's there to cover him as well. It's a massacre, James.
It is a massacre indeed. It is a tombola of heads rolling out one by one, almost at random. 4 versus 2. At this point, Kiabi's done his job, and Dupree is there. He's got flashbang support from a teammate as well. Now the grenades are flying in. He does not fan of balloons. There go the balloons. He gets tagged down to 1 HP. Nothing going the way of Immortals at the moment. 1 HP. Just one more. Could have been great, but it wasn't enough. I know there are some people at home who will get that 99 damage, and the next round they'll paste it in chat. 99 damage. Nobody cares. You've got to kill. If you don't kill, doesn't matter if it was 99, 97. Nobody gives a crap.
I think it's going to be interesting to see how Immortals will sort of survey the situation, because in the interview we saw that there's been preparation here for Immortals, a lot of preparation. Of course, it's the major. Of course, there has been, but it's specifically for this team and map. So I'd wonder if they will just go to like fast B plays, and because that's a great solution. If it's hard to predict a team, if they're taking too much map control away from you, just hit those right B set pieces with good timing, and you can kind of give yourself the right advantages to at least harm their economy. Because this is the danger. If Astralis get too strong of an economy, then it's like a snowball effect.
The only time people do care, actually, is if you like shoot someone with an AWP through a wall, and it does 5 in 1. But still, it's not reasonable to paste it in chat. Just don't do it. Kiabi around the toilets once again, but he's repositioned towards the long area, and Kaenje is on the search, but he won't quite go all the way. I don't know if sound cues are being made. I've spotted some jumping, so the alarm can be raised, but Glave's on his own for the time being. As far as so, they have faith in their teammate. He Molotovs the tease from a position to allow him to peek, and he lands himself a nice headshot. And there it is, Kiabi rearing his ugly head again. The Grim Reaper whipping out the side. Device steals a kill away from him, but ultimately goes away with Astralis. 2 versus 1. It's not over just yet. This is winnable for Bolts. Bombs on the floor. Molly towards bank. Dupree, though, he's coming in from the back. 2 bursts from Dupree. Patient shooting from the man. Cool heads on Astralis. Good for their 4th round in a row.
Yeah, it's actually not often you see buy rounds where every single player gets 1 frag each on the CT side like that. But we saw it there. And interestingly, of course, Kirby was able to actually get another flank play. That's the 2nd time that he's able to catch the push off guard in that way. So that's something that the Immortals have to think about in the future when they run rounds like that. But now they're down to a very poor economy. And as I said, you know, it really gets dangerous if Astralis win too many clean rounds. And this could really be the start of that. We'll have to see if Immortals can get some cheeky shots off. They do have a Deagle in play, a couple Tech 9s, some grenades too to work with, so they can run some cute tactics to try to get a couple kills here. But the bomb plant will be incredibly difficult as the other potential objective that they could have.
I love to see CTs getting aggressive around the short B position. So strong to hold this area, but Dupree, he may need some cover. Dupree don't need nothing. 2-man spray down from him. Get out of my sight. Get out of my area. Lucas and KNG, I mean, look, let's not get too excited. They've only got pistols, but it was quite pretty, Dan. It was pretty, very pretty indeed.
Purdy.
He's got the watercolors out, and he's painting quite the picture. Mostly crimson, of course.
And Immortals have not been able to find damage. Indeed, that was a great opportunity. I thought he was dead for sure. I mean, we knew about the players in door there, and that's that spray, man. He believed. He's like, please re-peek into this, because I'm not going to let go until I run out of bullets. Please
get out of my sight.
It's a great start after the initial pistol round loss here for Astralis. And one thing that we haven't seen just yet is that one play that I mentioned where we see the flash over for, or in some instances actually, if the other team is afraid of device AWPing. Ooh, nice frag there from Lucas. Picks up a gun actually to hold that for a moment. But yeah, if the other team is afraid that device is AWPing from the party area and they won't rush players into a fast timing into that angle that you would be holding from there, that actually allows Kirby again to move onto the bench past the fountain. So I'm waiting for that play from Astralis. It hasn't been shown yet.
Can I just note, at the end of that round, the closest person to the AWP who was carrying an AK rescued the AWP, and a second player ran behind that player to rescue his AK as well, which is really awesome. That is just great to see.
It's all about the small things.
It is in...
Although, well
most of the time.
That's a pretty big thing, to be honest.
Immortals took a tactical timeout, which has now expired. It has concluded. It has come to a close, to an end, and the game will resume.
A conclusion. Just combine the two words there. I'm a wordsmith, James.
A what? What did you say?
Conclusion and a close. I just combined both those words together. Conclusion. There we go. It's just...
Look at this spray. It's not nice. It's nice.
Oh, he got a pat on the back, James. He deserved it. He deserved that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And Device may feel like he deserves another kill, but he may have to wait for it. Again, short B. Oh, they're doing more than that. Kirby and Dupree, they've got somewhere to be. They're on a push. We haven't seen this since the days of CLG with Mr. I'm a Pet, now long gone. Nice early pick from Dupree.
That's amazing. That's like this early opening is like a default buster. That's almost like what I want to call it there, because often in the defaults you're going to have a player like lurking on the outside of the maps. Obviously you get Device puts that first bit of pressure there onto the party area, slows things down, so that allows Astralis to have more players towards B at the start of the round, so they can do that aggressive play. Again, it's beautiful Counter-Strike from Astralis so far.
There's a nice boost for people at home to employ when you see those CT smokes go down. And to me, it almost feels like Astralis are trying to put Immortals in the most uncomfortable positions possible. It's like, we're going to take this away from you, which you expect, and now you need to try and cope in this situation, which may be very difficult for you to deal with. And Astralis are trying to exploit that, but Device will get picked off. 35 seconds remain, and all of Immortals are here, but Zipex is starting to flank.
Yeah, it's a great entry there from Immortals. They have won a duel, very important, and now the bomb can go down. But once again, Kirby, usually it's from toilets, but this time he just walked through the smoke there on the long. Got himself only one frag this time, but it may be enough. We'll see Glaive picking up one, but Kyunji were able to hold down the flank for the time being. And this is looking great now for Immortals. It's been a dry spell. Can it be saved here? Oh, missing a shot is Henny, and Glaive will save the day. Oh, what a steal there. Immortals are going to be gutted about that one. They had a great chance. They did well to get into that position, but you can see the smiles there, the elation across the faces of the Danish players there of Astralis.
That was really unlucky timing, I have to say, for Immortals in that 1 versus 2, because when Glaive peeks, he sees complete information immediately. His line of sight, he has the player towards the toilets facing him, and he can see the arm of Henny as well. And he knows Henny doesn't have the angle, so as soon as he kills the first player, Henny misses the crucial shot, then he goes back to the well and finishes things off there. So perfect for Glaive, and he's pretty happy with that. Look at those veins pulsating out of his neck down, pulsating.
Poppin'.
6 in a row for Astralis.
This is a very fast play here from Immortals into Sewers. Oh, and this could have caught Device off guard, but you can see that he's able to actually fall back here, straight through the Molotov. And a nice headshot there. A fadeaway as he falls back into safety. He has taken some damage from the flames, but overall, of course, Astralis will be happy with this.
Ooh! Close, but not quite. Some more wall banging going on, and there's a boost for the T's as well. And that one will yield some results. And they've got Lucas making his way through Monster, so the short players can run distraction. Zipex, he's in his usual position. He's so strong from here, but he's looking the wrong way. But Lucas can't quite get the shot. And now it's all been revealed. A dastardly plan. The villains, their plan is known, but can the hero stop them?
Yeah, it's so important to have a player like Lucas there, just going for the play. So, all right, just got to make something happen right now. Gets that positioning, finds out that he can get his team in onto a bomb plant. Smokes all over the place, making Zipex's life a bit awkward, but he knows he just has to delay and hold on to this forward position. Whoa, what on earth was that? Henny takes down both Zipex and Glaive. Now Device trying to respond here, whiffs the shot. You can't be doing that, though. And now Kirby he's just going to inspect his weapons. Not really much else to do in this situation. Waiting by the door at the moment. A 1 versus 4. Not really something that he can realistically expect to win.
Yeah, and despite 6 in a row, they don't really have the money to try and take as many weapons away as possible. He could really do with saving this one for his team. So, indeed, the villains will prevail in this situation. Villains because they're T's, not because they are from Bulgaria. 4th round on the board for Immortals, finally, after 6 from Astralis. So, let's see, 3 players survive for Immortals, so they can spread the wealth and buy grenades as well. In situations like that, you definitely don't want to be surviving with only 1 player, just as the CTs did. So opportunity knocks for Immortals. They could break Astralis in this round.
Yeah, and again, I really like this. That's an insane double right there. Again, it's just like, how do you... It's just ridiculous.
Nice.
Beautiful stuff from Henny. Unexpected frag, but one he will be happy with. And it is something that, you know, I was looking for with Immortals, like that, those B players. I really wondered how they would handle that. And I love that they were confident to go brute force, and I have no idea how Lucas found that one. I think it's through the smoke, perhaps. Or no, actually around the side. Device perhaps out there for a bit too long, so we're crediting him for not overextending or being a player that characteristically doesn't tend to overextend. But there, you can see that it was abused. He was abused, and now he's on the bench for this round.
On the bench. Zipex alone towards the A site. Kiabian gave with a connector play. Bolt's rotating away from the B-lurk, it seems, just in case there's a flank from the CTs, and there have been so many. Now the T's watching their backs all over the place. Lucas picked off, but so has been Zipex in the trays. KNG moving through the bank position. He's got a nice angle on Dupree, but will he stay on it? He's got 2 places to look at, and he continues to push forward, and that might end up being a problem. But it seems he has found somewhere to settle, and the CTs will slowly move away. Bolt searching for some kills towards T-spawn, and Kirby, you can see he's set up already with his angle to allow his teammates to come to his position. Also important, whether he won that duel or not, is that he wasn't just standing there holding the angle 100% of the time. He's crouching and looking every few seconds, and that can really make a difference. That grenade sucks, yes, but it can make a difference, and it's something to learn at home. I think a lot of people at home will just, if you're holding an angle, just stand there the whole time. But if you just go behind the wall, come back out again, can make a hell of a difference. Something to keep an eye on when you watch these players in GoTV.
This is a great comeback for Immortals. It's just like finding the right rounds to win here, to not allow Astralis' economy to get out of control, and also just obviously the right aggressions. And Immortals have to, and I know they are a team that are going to be like always just, you know, brimming with confidence and not afraid to try to brute force it. And they've got a lot of firepower on their team, and it's very important that Astralis don't condition them to fear the CT setups too much, because if that does happen, because sometimes you need to take that aim battle, which is going to be, you know, let's say 30%, you know, you're going to be expected to win that perhaps. Sometimes you have to take those fights, and you can't really be conditioned out of that. You shouldn't be conditioned out of that. And this is what we're seeing, I think, in some sense from Immortals. They're just going to brute force their way in. Just like B, there was flames all over the place. I think 3 players were heavily tagged just moving into position without a frag, but they still managed to convert the round because they were confident to brute force. They know they had to get that element of map control, and then they made the play, get that first entry, and then it just starts to go well from that point forward. So really cool to see this level of confidence from Immortals. In that preparation that they've done, it clearly shines through in that sense.
4 Ts towards the B bomb site. Again, you do see this from G2 as well, but I don't know that we saw it in the previous match, but there's lots more Counter-Strike to come, and that is indeed, well, what has it done? It's a bad miss.
Bad miss.
Well, we may see a hasty play from Immortals on this occasion. Steel is making sure that Bolts doesn't get flanked through Connector by just sitting in Connector and holding an angle on the door. And again, for those of you at home, if you've got a player going into short B, make sure you've got a T holding that angle so he does not get pinched. KNG making his way through Monster, but Bolts will steal the second kill. Device is here, but he needs help.
Yeah, and he's going to get naded into Oblivion. Or if not into Oblivion, into just a desperate situation, as he hasn't really got any space to work with, can't really do anything with it whilst those nades are active. And indeed, it's going to be a save from Astralis. They decide that this is not worth the effort. They should rather take care of their economy and keep those guns, and I certainly agree with that one. Immortals themselves, you know, they're only just starting to build their economy. They're looking pretty good here because they've only lost one player in this round. So Immortals are starting to take some serious control and momentum of this game, and for me, this matchup is all about how Immortals are able to deal with the CT side of Astralis. I feel as though if Immortals have a great start here, if they are able to get to the 7-8 rounds mark, I feel like they have a very strong chance to be able to win this map against Astralis. So it's looking good for the Brazilians, I would say, so far.
6-6. Here's the score. But Astralis, they've saved enough to have an impact on this round. By no means is this round over. Glaive's got 47.50 in the bank, so he can drop indeed. They'll buy around what they have. Would you expect anything less from the Danes? AWPs continue for both sides, and Device has got the best spawn possible to go for a peek. Somehow Kiabi's got in front of him though, so maybe it's not the best spawn possible. But indeed the peek will be there. Oh, he's missed a jump onto the bench, but he'll have a peek anyway. But players have passed already, so we've got the support set up, and I think Device will peek the balloon area from the toilets, and Kiabi will stand there and be a trade frag. No, Device has gone all the way back, so let's see how Kiabi deals with that position. With a raw peek, why not? Smoke is still there, and he will eventually start to back up, but he's got no support to help him do that. Indeed, there's a flash from Glaive, there's the support, but KNG is going to go straight through, traded, but that will favour the T's.
And Glaive unable to save his teammate, but he did what he could, and indeed got the trade. And taking a forward position here by the benches, it's quite a strong one. Especially if you can get those forward smokes down, it can be quite annoying for the T's to deal with. At the moment, Astralis obviously in this 4 versus 4, they don't have a huge amount of grenades left, but it's enough really to allow them to go for a retake play onto the B, and they are playing retake B at the moment. They've got just one player on that bomb site so far. It's Glaive, and he's in a fairly passive position, so he can try to buy time unless he gets caught off guard, and that could happen. All the players from Immortals starting to burst out of the monster tunnel. How much can Dupree do? There's one. We've seen him do incredulous things from that position, and it's looking good for the Danes.
Bolts and Dupree exchange places in the smoke, but they know that Dupree has disappeared. Bolts looking for him around the smoke. The continuation spray from Dupree. Bolts runs straight back into it. 10 seconds for this bomb to go down, and Lucas is alone. A desperate situation. The CTs are too close, and the round is over. Astralis are back in the lead. 3 players survive for them as well, which is a big boost for the CT side. And one thing I didn't get to talk about in that round, when Kiabi's position was by that wall and the smoke was down, Device can stand in the middle of toilets and hold an angle and basically bait for his teammate while that smoke is down. But later on he repositions towards the site, and he's got Glaive by the toilet door on the off angle, the blind spot essentially, and then again Device is the initial peeker. So another bait and switch set up from Astralis, which we may see in a future round. But for now, Immortals are back on the buy, 7-6 for Astralis. And of course Device is forward around the smoke once again.
Yeah, that he is, and it's a very fast round here from Immortals, and I think this is what the Doctor ordered. I mean, it's one way you can try to get ahead of some of these aggressions that Astralis will run. Just go super fast yourself, and if Astralis gets wrong with their early round play, you're going to catch them on a rotation. That's exactly what's happening right now, but Immortals have to go in right now. The push is coming in. The spray down from Dupree is absolutely on point, and it just leaves 2 members for Immortals to try to salvage this one, and the bomb is in no man's land, and looks like the Danes have blood on their mind because they're going in for the kills.
Yeah, but they are subject to them as well. Down to the 2-1-2. Bolts on short B with the bomb. He can collect it, but he's going for some entries, or some kills rather. The entries have come and gone already. He's left the bomb there, and his teammates dropped in the meantime, leaving him in a 1 versus 2. He's got to be sharp. Glaive wishes he had an AK in that situation. Kiabi repositioning. If Kiabi runs outside the toilet area, Bolts, I think it might be too far away to hear him from that position, but Kiabi knows he can be heard in B from where he is, so he'll have to walk. And he's preying on the fact that Bolts knows Kiabi can come from a number of different positions. So what does Bolts do in this situation? Ooh, he's going to give the sound cues away, and Kiabi's there. He's by Optimus, and he will be transforming Bolts from alive to dead. There it is, 8-6 in favor of Astralis. 1 round remains in the first half.
That's a pretty cool clutch there. I mean, there to me, it's kind of a battle of... I don't want to say nerves necessarily, but it's a confidence thing. Like Kirby's just like, I'm so confident that in my play here that I'm just going to walk all the way. And I'm happy that if I have to retake the B-bomb site, that's fine. And you had a situation there where, of course, his opponent was like, oh god, I'm just going to go for the run. And obviously, if your opponent did choose to just wait on the A-bomb site, you're dead 100% of the time. So it's really well played there by Kirby. And now it's the last round of the first half. Astralis looking to make it a 9-6. It's Glaive this time, peering over the smoke from the party position. Oh dear, he's
trapped. Just about manages to escape in the end. And in fact, it's Bolts who will be the first to go down. KNG not far behind, still getting 1 kill, but this is a pretty fast-moving round at this point. Lucas just waiting on the playground of the bomb, and all the CTs start to go straight back to their respective sites. Zipex being trusted for the time being with the B-bomb site. Kirby's there if needed, but not quite just yet. Oh, Henning, he had to land that, swiping in the smoke, but there's nobody there. No answer, no response.
It's a bit ridiculous, James. What is this? Oh dear. Bit awkward. And Devices takes his position back.
They're dancing in the dark, and it's clumsy.
Okay, try number 2 perhaps. In comes Henny. And will he see Device? This is just so strange if Device gets it.
But you weren't expecting that.
I don't even know like the level of mind games there. It's just like, what do you, just how do you prepare for that?
Oh, the timing! Man,
yeah.
Unreal. The timing in Counter-Strike is always quite something, but it's a 4 versus 1. Ultimately, it's a 4 versus 1. Now it's a 3 versus 1, and Device is heavily tagged. He's had some fun around this area. Again, we've got that bait situation. He knows Device is there, but his teammate is ready. The coordination from Astralis is sharp. It's very sharp indeed. It's glorious. It's shiny. It's on a shelf, in a shop window. It's great, Dan. It's beautiful.
Absolutely, and I think one thing, obviously, we can notice that Device did have a struggle hero there to hit some of the shots which you'd normally expect him to hit. So let's see if his team will lift him up, as they seem to be doing a pretty good job at the moment. Immortals, though, as I said, I feel like 6 rounds is so very workable for them. I think that CT side of Astralis is the most scary thing, I would say, to be up against. Also, if you start the map that way, it's one thing, going against it on the second half, but if you start that way, what if they do have a really crazy CT side, which they have often had in the past, and get like a 12-3 scoreline on you? Then it's really hard.
Steel went 2 for 11 in that half. He's having a bit of a mare, as we might say in London. A night's mare.
London.
He's having a bit of a mare, mate. A bit of a mare. Cotton chips, please. 9-6. Indeed, they've got a fighting chance. Dan, D-A-N, Dan, Don.
As opposed to what, Dan? Why else would you spell that? Why was the specification required?
Don't know, man.
Specifically,
it's a flow of
D-A-N.
consciousness. It's a flow of consciousness that requires the spelling of that particular 3-letter word or name, if you will. The match is it's about to get underway. So we have 4 Kevlars on the Astralis team. Glaive has not purchased quite yet. Steel will have a defuse kit and 2 flashes. And Glaive indeed will be the grenade man on his team as well. 13 kills for Glaive. Really good. He's top fragging along with Kirby as the in-game leader. And there was a time back in Carrigan's reign on Astralis when he would be doing the same. But it is in the hands of Glaive now. He's in the driving seat. All aboard. Grenade is being deployed. Smoke and a flash for Glaive later on. Zipex lurking outside the B-bomb site while 3 players try to do work on A.
Oh dear, very scary situation. Lots of Glocks jumping in your face. Never a good look.
In your face.
And now we got a 5 versus 4 here for Astralis. And one of the great things here is, they've closed the distance somewhat. The thing is that this last kind of 100 meters, well, not necessarily 100 meters, but this last little dash towards the A-bomb site on long is really problematic. So I like that they're just deciding, okay, you know what? Maybe there's a response from Immortals that's double back into more close quarter engagements, which they can find towards B. And that said, though, Immortals have a nice setup, ready and waiting for them.
Oh, they are quite peppering, but haven't really found the stake. Immortals got themselves 1 kill, and now the numbers are dwindling for both sides. And now we see the bedlam, the anarchy of a pistol round, the variance, the back and forth. Immortals with 2 players, and the teams all over the place. The bomb attempt hasn't come in just yet from Astralis. You wonder if they were considering a rotation. Either way, the kills will come in for the Danish team, and they make it to double figures.
I felt like there weren't many headshots in that pistol round. I feel like there's a lot of...
There weren't as many as you would normally
tags.
find, for sure.
Yeah.
But...
Indeed.
Pistol rounds, pistol rounds.
10 to 6. We've got 4 UMPs on Astralis. It's pretty interesting stuff there. The Mac 10 on Dupree, so that means Dupree is going to get the information for the team. He's going to be the expendable player. He's going to try to find out where these force buying players of Immortals are lurking, so his teammates can avoid those areas.
Ooh, Kyobi getting the ding, but not the dong. Just the bell rung once. There's some more bells being run on the overhead train track. Warning signs. Don't throw your grenades because they will be blockerinoed. Pistol spam will, well, it's Lucas actually to go down to half health, but we are waiting for the eventual push from Astralis. It is coming in from the short B position. So far, so good. Never mind. That changes very quickly indeed and then goes back towards their way. Another round is over.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how you commentate that because it's like, you said like 3 words and you can't even adjust, James. You can't, there's no time. Indeed. Everyone's dead.
But what there is time for, once we go back into the game, is some appreciation for the trees, the plants, the foliage on overpass. I just noticed, Dan, that there's like overhanging plants in T-spawn. That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Look at the trees. Look at that tree. That tree kind of sucks, let's be honest, but there are much nicer trees around the map of overpass, and I like that. As a fan of trees, look at that overhang. Look at that. That is glorious. Disguising the ugly vent, which serves no purpose in this regard. Beautiful stuff.
Well, away from foliage for a moment, and back into UMPs and pistols. Dupree with an opening there towards bolts. Obviously, the full save is in play for Immortals, so it's not a happy time for them at the moment, it could be said, because the Astralis are just able to chill with these weapons, make some money, make some bank with the UMPs. And again, Astralis are one of the teams that are very disciplined. They're very routine and drilled when it comes to playing anti-ecos. So it's rarer that you'll see them sort of put a foot wrong, so to say, and lose too many players in a round like this.
Slowly making their way towards the A site. Interestingly, it's I think compared to some A sites on different maps, I think it's somewhat difficult to throw a Molotovs onto the spots on the site where you would argue they are needed without being completely exposed to a potential quick peek. So in that respect, it's interesting the pushes into the site on the anti-eco. There we have Mr. Glaive on the left and Mr. Henny on the right. Ooh, Lucas.
Got that double AWP, man.
It's Lucas.
We got that double AWP on the CT
brothers.
side.
I knew it wasn't Henny. I don't know why I said Henny. Anyway, 12 to 6, double AWPs indeed. Not many grenades, but definitely double AWPs. And Astralis have got the perfect counter, rushing into the B bomb site. What can you do about this, Immortals? They're in there, and they're being forced back to CTs. This is really awkward stuff from them.
I wonder if this is a read, that this would be the buy, and as you mentioned, the perfect response and counter from Astralis. Very smart if that's the case, but otherwise, hell of a retake on the hands of Immortals. However, they've managed to pick off Kirby. They've got a man advantage now, but much more is to be done as they look to gain positioning. Kianji able to help them out there, taking down Dupree, but there's much more to be done from this vantage point. Oh, another fantastic shot there from Kianji as he peers over the top of the balcony with that AWP and device. He's got so much damage to do here, but he's stuck in the corner by the sandbags, and he is going to be left there.
That was, considering the adjustment we saw him make, that was a really sweet shot from Mr. KNG. Damn, that was nice. But what's not nice from Immortals is a 5-round deficit. There is much work for them to do on their CT side. So we'll see if they're able to do it. Lots of money on the Astralis team. Maybe see.
Ooh, give it to us. Here we go. There's one. Oh, there it is.
Boom.
That's satisfaction right there.
So quick.
And what an important shot as well. And a very pressured situation. And it has been said by the members of Immortals that he is an incredibly confident player to play with. So good to see that he fears no man. We see a trade very early on here between the two teams, and a passive response from Immortals. But a very fast response. Astralis just really just booking it straight up towards the A-long area. Oh, Bolts turns away, still gets a kill and a dink. But there's a trade there from Device. This is an insanely fast round.
Another very quick round indeed. Many players have been lost. Steel is miles away. He is miles away from his teammate. He needs a bus to get there in time. Maybe Lucas can hold things down. Bomb's going to get planted. And Astralis will start to wonder, where is Steel? Why hasn't he made an appearance here? And maybe he will make one soon because Glaive is exposed. Down he goes. That leaves Device with the AWP. 2 for him to find. Smokes it down and Steel could replenish that smoke. He's got one in the hole. And I think he might do exactly that, but Device has got the angle. The flashbang over the wall, though. Device will not be ready for it. Doesn't get the shot. He's being patient, though. It's not planted for him either. Going for the wall bang. Has to get a fast shot. And he won't quite do it. The bomb's been defused, and he'll get taken down as well. Of course, the AWP will be stolen. It's good times for Immortals.
Yeah, that's a massive round to win. An absolutely huge round to win. We'll see if they can continue with such winning tendencies. Oh, we can see the AWP duel there. Very nicely done. And I'm curious now whether Immortals will decide to actually try to go aggressive. I mean, it could be a great spot now for Kayanji to try to get his AWP in there aggressively. Henny as well, obviously. Two AWPers that can really thrive in aggressive scenarios. They are going to actually play fairly passively at the moment. And Astralis will develop some control quickly towards Connector. And I wonder if Zipex will just hold down Monster, if he'll try to... Oh, we can see some legs. He got tagged in his leg, though. That's actually a great shot there. I think that was from... Henny.
It was from someone. That's
from someone with an AWP. No, it's from Kayanji.
Steel's made his way. He pushed Monster and got a pick on Zipex and has gone straight back into the site. So that's the lurker taken down for Astralis. Nice timing from Immortals, but will it help them win the round? That is the question. We see some shortcomings from Astralis. Dupree on the CZ. Not less than ideal for him. Device towards long. Nobody peeking just yet, though. Henny announcing some, well, letting off some warning shots. I was going to say his position, but there are two AWPs on the server for Immortals. KNG towards the B bomb site with Steel in tow. 48 seconds for Astralis to take this back.
And here they go. With the cover of smokes, they will emerge onto the A bomb site or try to. Henny absolutely devastating this push. Lucas comes in, denied by Glaive, but Glaive, he's lost too many of his comrades. Oh, that's a very nice fadeaway shot, but 30 seconds to go. And this is a very hard situation to play. Obviously, Immortals, with all the information, they know there's no play back into the B-bomb site. Oh no! No way. Glaive makes his way in, finds Kayanji, completely catches him off guard, and now he must know that the player's coming from the toilet's position. Glaive with it all to do here, with the right reads, going back towards Bank here, it's planted for him. And now he's actually in advantage. It's Steel who has all the work to do. So he makes his way in for the ace. Can he make it happen? No, it's Steel to clutch it, to save the day for his team, and that would have been an embarrassing situation to lose, but Steel has got it all under control, saving his team from being aced by Glaive.
Damn. I mean, that was so crazy when KNG was backing up towards long because Steel was already on the stairs of Connector, so they know he can't go to the B bomb site, but of course, he could be in the toilet's position, or he could be in long. KNG backs off to long, and that's almost the round. Gone almost, but not quite. 3 rounds between the two teams. Astralis have taken a tactical timeout. This is 3 rounds in a row for Immortals, and it's 3 diffusers as well, which means that Astralis are getting to a certain point. They're having a certain level of success, but it's not more than that. They're not going further than that. Immortals, again, it's their first time in the major. Finally,
it's
overdue.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? It's actually just, whenever, like, for example, Redo was saying the debutants, it's like, it's just really weird to think again that it's taken them quite so long to get here, and obviously.
But what better way to start it than baptism by fire, playing the reigning, defending champions to channel my inner Paul Heyman. 3 rounds between the two teams. The tactical timeout has expired, but the match is still paused. So I don't know if this is technical or what's going on, but to look at what the situation is on Astralis, it is pistol time. The money is less than ideal, but they have the 3-round buffer. But Immortals, you do wonder how far they can go in this particular best of 1. I think perhaps a relogin had to happen, or I don't know, but indeed it is technical, and why not stand in front of the camera? I'm going to... I know, I'm going to stand here.
This looks like a good place to stand.
Yeah, look, he's got a white mouse. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. Do you have a white mouse?
No, I think it's cool, though.
I don't have a white mouse.
I like it.
My mouse is black.
Well, I do wonder, though, if we'll get... Because the interesting thing for me, actually, is that I was expecting to see more aggression from Immortals, but they've actually been playing their CT side pretty passively, even though they have the double ops. And it's such a great map for op aggression. Obviously, the first team that really showed the true potential of it, I think, would be SK. Absolutely, you know, Fallen, Cold, obviously going aggressive all over the place, really showing how much you can get out of that. And you know, with two AWPers like the likes of Kianji and Henny, like two AWPers that really thrive playing very aggressively. It's very cool to see that that's not the natural playstyle that they're going with here, and it's been working out for them so far, and they've obviously claimed the last 3 rounds in a row. Although that said, the last 3 rounds in a row have been all defuses, so Astralis have been successful every round getting the bomb down, which of course is great for their money, but also means like, okay, we can get the bomb down. And so there's probably a lot of rounds where like, okay, we ran this and we got to that post plant situation. If we just hit that, you know, one shot here that usually we may hit, that's like a great round. So there's still a lot of, you know, hope and rounds for Astralis to say that works. We can do that one again.
I don't know how you get a tattoo that fine on your neck of all places, because it's not like you have a solid surface to do it against, right? How on earth does that even work? I don't know. It's a mystery to me, but he made it work, that's for sure.
I'm not a tattoo person. I don't have any tattoo. You have a tattoo, right? So.
I do.
But I hear that, you know, if you get one, it's like very likely, you know, you're going to get another one and so on. But you stopped after one, right?
Yeah, I think maybe depends on the personality or what you want out of them, or if it's like a hobby, or I don't know. But yeah, some people get addicted to the needle, but you know, it depends. I suppose it depends on your reason.
Context.
So, yeah, indeed. Indeed. All right then. See how long this technical pause goes on for. It's a tight game at the moment. 12 to 9 if you are just joining us. And it seems that we may just be good to go. The unpause vote is visible on my screen. Headset's going back on.
And then back off again.
I wore one of those once when I did a helicopter tour of London.
Yeah. And
it really felt like being in a tin can. I was not at my most comfortable, I'll put it that way. But it was interesting.
The thing for me actually in this game is that I feel Immortals are in a position. Obviously, this round is incredibly crucial because they have a full buy. They got the AWP onto Henny at the moment, but they have no money left. So this is, if Astralis are able to somehow win this round. I think Astralis are going for a half buy here. Immortals are in a horrible position. Immortals 100% have to win this round. They have to do so really with surviving with like 4 players. I mean, they can't really lose more than 2 because their economy will start to get so taxed, and Astralis will just have so many opportunities to break them down with their rounds. And again, because they've been getting so many successful bomb plants, there's a lot of rounds for them to go to where they know that they can get a good advantage to actually get a win here. So I feel like Immortals have a lot of potential here, but they're walking I feel like they're walking a tightrope. You know, they're walking the razor's edge.
On a side note, I like that PGL have put surfaces on the table. I mean, obviously the table is a surface in itself, but like, for example, there was a time where I would put a drawing board, or whatever they're called, like an art board, under my mouse pad. So I always had a consistent surface because I played from more than one location. Like I had a computer at work as well, so I had one in both places. And I heard that from someone that Nothing would do that as well. I don't know if that's true or not, but you know, interesting tidbit. Now you see those PGL boards. It's pretty cool. Lots of small detail in player environments that you have to consider.
Yeah, one detail is if you, like me, turn up to groups and your mouse breaks in the first match, that you're gonna have a bad tournament, James.
Yeah,
that happened to me, and I was really depressed because I couldn't replace it. No
Always
one else had
brings
that mouse, and I was just like, well.
When I first went to a LAN, right, I was obviously just a young idiot pleb, and I used to play. I had this mahogany effect MDF table, right, and I used to play on it with no mouse pad. So when I went to LAN, it was just like, I had no idea what was going on. How do I calculate my sense? I didn't know what was going on. It was just a disaster.
You pleb, James.
Yeah.
I can't believe you've done this.
I was reasonable online as well, for my community at least, not maybe in the grander scheme of things. Anyway, 12-9, and we are back into the game. The AWPs, the double AWPs, are still in effect on the CT side. And it is indeed pistol time. Rand was restored, so pistols will be bought again for Astralis. They've got some Molotovs, so it seems there is an execute to be had. I would guess to be bomb side then, because I think they would need more smokes than they have bought.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely correct. And you see the Molotovs as well. Like, they're going to buy things for purpose in that respect. You know, Molotov for water, for barrels, for jungle. Like, they have all the Molotovs, or even potentially instead of maybe jungle, maybe the Molotov on the short position first to allow to slow the CTs down in taking sewers. I think you're absolutely right here. So we'll see if that's the case. We've got 3 players going towards the B-bomb side at the moment, so it might not be a really fast one then, but they should very well finish on this B-bomb side. With the Tech-9s as well, it's a very good option. But the CTs are taking sewers aggressively. This creates problems for Astralis because they can't really challenge it effectively.
Yeah, I like how KNG just brazenly opens the door and peeks at the AWP. Perhaps they have a good read on the most Astralis can offer in this round, but the most will start with a Deagle kill. And now KNG is going to get taken down in the rotation. It's a 5 versus 3, and they've picked up an AWP and Kevlar and, an M4. 3 kills now for the Astralis side. What a complete disaster, but Bolts, maybe he can bring it back.
Yeah, tossing an HE in there, it's going to whiff, gets the flames in there, also going to not be too useful here. In fact, it actually sort of helps the T's in some respect here as they now get the smoke down. Bolts trying to close the distance quickly here. Going for another smoke, trying to pressure the bomb. M4 comes out, it's not good enough though, it's down to Henny here. He is a quick draw with this AWP, often uses like a shotgun, goes for the no-scope, misses, and it's going to be the pistols, the Tech-9s that completely catch everyone off guard. And that entry frag from Dupree was pristine, James.
I want to see how on earth he found an angle for that. That is a completely insane. And then it was just a disaster after that, man. It was a complete disaster. It's like, well, let's have a look at the shot first.
Whoa, that is pretty godlike. I think he had a slight geometric advantage there, but it's only so minimal. The other guy has an AWP, so it doesn't really matter.
Look what it's done to the economy of Immortals. They've got Mag 7s coming out. It's a force buy. It's force buy territory for them. They were in such a good position, and now their position has been taken away. Once I went fishing, right?
Okay.
And I didn't have any fishing stuff, and I cast my line out, and a swan was flying past, and it closed line the swan, and the swan crashed into the bank. That is what I would call a disaster, Dan, and that's how I would compare what we just saw in that previous round.
Was that the first and last time you went fishing?
More or less.
All right. Astralis 13 rounds now, and in the previous round I sort of said, okay, Immortals have to win this round with 4 players live. As you can see, the result of just losing that round outright, it is not a pretty sight. And Astralis, all they have to do is just run just a regular good anti-force buy round, and they should be good to go here.
Steel and Lucas tried to run boost over Monster, and it just completely ended in failure in the meantime. So it seems that everything good that was happening for Immortals has disappeared like the rabbit in the magician's hat. 46 seconds remain for Astralis. KNG moving through the long area, common position for anti-ecoing Ts. And Glaive is almost on his 6 just by chance. KNG peaks. That was sure to happen. Kiabi had a great angle. The numbers start to dwindle.
Yeah, and you can see that Astralis, after taking that initial map control, they're taking the forward positions away. They hold. They just hold, they wait for a push, they get it from KNG, and now it's time to go for Astralis. They send Zipex in for information towards B, and this is kind of funny actually, because ideally he actually catches players there and keeps them from rotating, but in fact actually it's a free bomb site, but there's no time to rotate back there anyway, so it's kind of a funny mistiming as it were. So everything's fine though. Immortals were not able to get to the A bomb site quickly enough to really cause too many issues, or did they? We get a nice frag there from Steel, but still they're going to go for a defuse. There's no kit. The spray down is in play, and that's going to be a wrap. 14-9. Astralis only 2 away now from taking Overpass away. It looks so good for Immortals, but now it's all looking quite grim.
Yeah, it's looking less than ideal, to put it kindly. So now it's just force buy town for Immortals from start to finish. Lucas going for the Deagle, as will KNG, or KNJ if you prefer, as will Bolts. Henny with the Scout. It is actually officially Hen 1, but he does not mind being called Henny. Obviously in the West we're used to the 1 being an I and so on and so forth, so people just adapt. 14-9, desperate times for Immortals. Astralis can afford this slow approach and prey on the desperation of their opponents. And he spotted towards long, unable to have the success that Device did so far, that is, with these scouts, when he needed it in the first half. But there's plenty of time to try and get some tags.
And he's one of those AWPers that's like really, really good at... I think NES is very much like this as well. Like really good at sort of, if a player goes behind an object, he just somehow just nails like understands like how fast the model's moving, and he just gets it perfect no matter the distance the player is away. If that was an AWP instead of a scout, I think he actually gets a tag there through the boulder or something, because that was on point there from Henny. But alas, he was on the mere scouts. Doesn't do too much from that range through objects. This is very tense stuff here for Immortals. Astralis looking to close in onto match point here, and they're once again running an anti-force buy round. They're moving up towards toilets and long as well, and using all their grenades in the utility to make everything safe. And they are soon to the A-bomb site.
There goes Bolts. Steel and KNG just now rotating from the B-bomb site, and let's see, there's a wall of smoke, 3 smokes long through the A-bomb site, but opportunity is slowly being lost. Oh, it's going to be hard for him to stop Astralis from getting... Wait a minute, they've just got themselves 2 kills. It's a 3-on-3 though. They've still got only the scout and the 2 pistols, and the bomb's planted on the other side of the boxes, but the kills continue to rain in. What the hell's going on? Glaive getting tagged, and there's Henny again with the scout. Henny with 3 kills. Where did that even come from?
The man's good with a scout. He's good with a sniper rifle, James. He is very good with a sniper rifle, and that makes things interesting. Now things just got really interesting. Obviously, like, Immortals were in this like very impossible situation, and because of the way their money was, but now there's a bit of spice to this this overpass. All of a sudden, we've got a very good situation on the guns now for Immortals, thanks to that brilliant play from Henny with that scout, and they can stave off the match point for the time being of Astralis, perhaps. Up onto Henny. The only issue is that he has no Kevlar and no grenades either yet. Is he going to have the ability to buy some? I think he will actually. Yeah, he's still got loads of cash, so Henny will be able to get everything. It's a really good opportunity here now for the Immortals side. But again, I do wonder if they'll start mixing things up, or if they'll keep to this passive play. I think it's very hard to interpret what is going to be very successful, and I think the if you take additional risks against Astralis, they are a great team at punishing that. So.
Countdown begins following the timeouts. 4 rounds between the 2 sides. Immortals, I don't know how they escaped that situation. I literally cannot compute, but here they are. And we have another pause. So something is happening. We see a headset being taken off. Now, while these pauses are going on, Henny has an AWP, but he hasn't bought his Kevlar yet, so I hope he remembers. Still needs to buy grenades as well, so not too worried at the moment. Bananas, good for energy. A good source of potassium, that's true. You can look it up if you want to. Thumbs up to bananas. Bananas are good. Device probably has one of the, if not the lowest fat percentage of top tier CSGO players, that's for sure. Very healthy man is Device. So hopefully we'll be back into things soon. Maybe it's the earbuds. Maybe it is the earbuds. Interestingly, a few weeks ago we saw that Stewie used kind of the kind of earbuds in-ears you would use if you were in a studio or if you were on a stage, for example. They kind of roll over your ear and have a sponge. I don't know what it's quite called, what the official term is. I'll call it a sponge, which just kind of expands into your ear, so you will hear the game when you really, really need to. So you've got people having a look at what the current situation is. I don't know if it'll be interesting actually to hear the perspective, or maybe of some of the players on the desk, like when there is a pause like this in a tight game, what it can do psychologically, like if it can benefit or hamper or harm one of the teams, especially when there's so much pressure on Immortals to come back into things, or maybe it's a relief to have a pause.
I think it's, I mean, for my personal opinion, I think it really can depend on the players and the people. But I mean, for me, it's like it's like actually a relief because you get a time to sort of like reground yourself. Because sometimes it's, when the pressure's on, like you know, the emotions are charged, and it's sometimes it can get a bit away from you. But with a bit of a pause, you can just kind of reground yourself, refocus yourself. But then sometimes, you know, even for the same individual, you might just want to play off of that energy that you get. So it's a weird one, isn't it? It's I'd love to hear that discussed.
Like for me, you know, CS is an escape, and you can immerse yourself in that when you're playing in a competitive environment. You can get lost in it in a good way. So maybe it could take you out of it a little bit, and you might lose focus. Maybe it's true for me. I don't even know. Anyway, Immortals have it all to play for. 3 people starting in the B bomb site for them. Dupree and Kiabi making their way through Connector, and there's nothing to find in that area. So the smoke's around the toilet area, and Bolts is behind them, heading towards Long. So Immortals covering everything at the moment, which you don't always see on Overpass. Sometimes Long is abandoned, sometimes toilets are abandoned. Now Henny will start to back off towards the A site and perhaps provide some support for Bolts. But he'll have 2 jobs to do.
Twice going for a forward play, denied by the smoke. Ooh, might go for a boost here. Yes, indeed, we'll get the boost, but some jumping will be heard. Now will Bolts just go for some spray here? That would be very smart. Goes for the incendiary instead. That will do the trick. Get rid of the boost. Although no player was at risk of being taken down there because it was a peek straight into the deep positions on the A bomb site. Device now looking for additional information and potential peeks here. The players here on the A site from Long now, and Astralis with all the poking and prodding so far have been unsuccessful. And the time is running low. It's 30 seconds left now. They've got to go for the A bomb sites.
They've deployed almost all of their grenades. No flashes left for sure, but they've got mollies, and the molly will work. It will force Henny from his position, but he'll take a play down with him and keep Immortals in a man advantage. No flank coming in. Lucas rotating from B to A. The smokes are down again. It's a 3-on-3. There goes the beep beep. Will the City try and stop KNG with a great spray? No bomb. Oh, the bomb is planted, in fact. 2-on-2. Lucas coming around Optimus, and there's Device rotating back towards toilets as Steel makes his way towards the bank. Will they go for a fast defuse though? It seems yes. Lucas is on it, and Steel anticipates what is going on. He's got the human shield there as well, and Immortals will be successful. Astralis lose another round. But again, every round this half has been by defuse for Immortals. It's going down to the wire.
That is a lot of diffusers, yeah. And that was a really smart way to handle it from Immortals. Just go for the diffuse straight away. You know, some teams, some players will actually, you know, try to actually delay that a little bit, see if they can get some information. Is there going to be a peak? You know, can they try to peak someone with 2 players? You know, that's something that you might be thinking of, but there was no mistaking the play there from Immortals. They were very decisive, and that's so important to have that level of decisiveness. It pays off in spades, and Astralis looking to get Dupree into sewers here. Slightly deterred by initial use of incendiaries by the CTs. And what havoc can he create with his AWP? There's not too much in the way of players around his position. Oh, got to be careful with that. These top level players, man, they are good at connecting that shot.
It's going to land eventually, that's for sure. Plenty more Counter-Strike to come here at the Kraków Major. If you are making your way here, then we will soon be welcoming you with all kinds of headshots. And he doesn't want to overextend in that position. More jumping jack, but the hammer will not land where it wants to. 55 seconds, Glaive getting picked off, and that's the bomb spotted outside Monster. Lucas, Steel, KNG there, and it seems there'll be a fast rotation from Immortals at the time left on the clock, and indeed the T's are pushing in, but it's not going their way. It is not going their way. Kiabi left alone for a brief time, but he'll soon join his teammates. 2 rounds. Can Immortals do it then?
I absolutely think they can, yeah. They're doing a great job at the moment. Again, you can see that round, you know, one of the reasons why they want to play passively. They don't want to allow Astralis to get much in the way of picks. And in that situation as well, you know, you sort of force the T's to go for set-piece plays. Or, you know, you could see a situation here. This is another option. Try to force the picks. We saw that the initial one failed. And second attempt was failed. And Immortals are just loving it. They, as you said, they spotted the bomb initially. That gave them the confidence to understand how to rotate themselves on the CT side. And they were able to stay a step ahead of the game there. So Astralis, they need to make an adjustment. Either go for something very fast, try to play one of these set pieces onto the A bomb site. I mean, they've generally been very successful getting the bomb down. They just can't seem to hold the post-plant situations. So this is a very tight game. This is very hard to predict, but Immortals absolutely looking great to be in with a chance to take down the title holders.
No grenades remain for the T's. Just pistols. Dupree has a deagle. That's a big point, but it's Glaive leading the charge with Zipex behind him. Slowly emerging. They can play the numbers game now. Immortals, they've got some grenades though, some high explosives, some molotovs, and they can use them to flush these players out. Glaive taking a big 80 damage. There's another high explosive being deployed. The numbers don't last long. Now it's Kirby alone with the deagle. Playing an off angle. We'll see if Immortals choose to search for him. Again, the T's haven't invested too much, so Immortals don't need to be terribly concerned. Kirby won't get any kills either, but the job has been done. They got the bomb down. 1 round now between the two sides. Zipex has enough to drop an AWP, but no. They're going 5 AKs the Astralis side.
This is kind of nuts, actually. I don't know about Astralis's. I feel like their chances are dwindling a lot here. Obviously, they still have opportunity to get back into this one, but we can see there's a lot of momentum on Immortals. They are really powered up at the moment. Astralis, what are they going to do differently now to try to throw off Immortals' CT side? We're going to get an aggressive play, actually, or an opening that's aggressive from Immortals. They haven't been often going with that. KNG going all the way to the fountain. And this is really interesting. Again, in the past rounds, they put so much presence towards this early on that this is an open territory for them.
Yeah, but look at Astralis. They've gone immediately towards the B bomb site, but it's not a rush. They're slowly taking control of the B area, looking for an entry maybe on a jumping player. Steel's alone. He's been alone on B this entire time. And now the rotation is starting to come in from the CTs and the flank, but they'll hear that rotation from Bolts, and that might spur them on to charge into the site. They've picked good timing. The CTs have repositioned for the retake. They've got off the site. Steel was isolated, and they're not going to give them that free kill. And there's KNG coming in from the back, 1 kill for him. The T's have moved into CT position, and KNG is having free reign on the site. Steel for support. Running out of bullets down to the deagle, but it's Device. What perfect timing. How this has worked out for Immortals is unbelievable. Device can do nothing about this. He has to sit outside Monster and bear witness to the score being tied by Immortals.
This is such a smart play, just because also, like, from a level of a default perhaps, Astralis may not put many players towards the the fast position towards the playground. So it's such a great gamble to take from Immortals. It's so smart, and again, it just shows you that even when you're in this situation where your back is against the wall for both teams, and if you make one error, one bad guess, everything can come tumbling down. But to still have the confidence to take good risks, that's a great sign there, and that was a great risk from Immortals. Paid off massively with that push. And Astralis now, all AKs, decent amount of grenades. We've seen this before. Zipex going for that play, getting tagged again by KNG. That's twice that's happened there. Doesn't work out for him, but Astralis now looking towards a passive, or rather a slow map control play towards the A side of the map. Bolts is ready though.
Bolts is in a high-risk situation, and it's going to pay off in absolute spades for him. But he can't really leave this position. He gets 2 kills for it, though. That's massive damage done. There could be a match point soon. There's time, though, for Astralis. But what there isn't is personnel. There's a 2-man flank. Oh, my God. The T's are moving through connector, and the Immortals are not going to get into position in time, which means that B is going to be completely abandoned. But wait, they're moving backwards. They're making noise. And Lucas is there, almost with a 2-man spray down. This is turning into complete madness. Astralis, they have to run towards B. They have no choice, whether it's a trap or not. KNG slowly rotating. So opportunity knocks. KNG could get taken down here with the AWP, but no, of course not. Why would he do that? Device looking away just in time. Oh my God, what a collapse. It's like they're in a black hole. Everything is imploding around them. It's Device alone in the 1 versus 4. He needs to get the bomb down, but the flank is there from Lucas. He gets that kill at least. And now there's a chance. The bullets raining through the planks of wood, and he's not going to get the bomb planted. Disaster has struck for Astralis. Absolute disaster.
And you can feel it that for Immortals right now, victory is truly at their fingertips. double orb here for them. They have had so much success on the CT side. They've had so many correct reads on how they should play their aggression. These countless flanks that they've been picking up. I shouldn't say countless. It's been, you know, I suppose we can count them quite easily. But I mean, like
just move on.
Yeah, we can see that it's been so important. And Astralis now, they're in a spot where I wonder if, you know, they've been getting into their own heads a little bit, because, you know, where do you turn? If every move that you make, your opponent's making the correct counterplay, like in the way in which they are, and Astralis also haven't been able to really take map control in either a fast manner, or a manner which gets them frags, or a manner which even allows them to get good damage onto their opponents. So again, we saw Zipex like multiple times getting tagged in the legs when he goes for the pressure towards Monster, and generally it's been a bit of a struggle. So it's really interesting to see how Astralis is going to try to work their way back into this. They must win this round to get that overtime.
Immortals on the cusp of something great, but it's never over until it's over. And Astralis had enough money to buy it. One of their players had $7,900. Most were on around 4K. We see the shortcomings in Glaive's UMP. Astralis playing the numbers game in Connector, and Defects, I think, might have flashed for them unless they did it through the window. Either way, Kiabi's going to get an opening kill onto KNG. Steel and Lucas are on the B bomb sites. But Bolts and Henny are very far away with positions on long, so if a rotation is required, Astralis are going to have a lot of time to capitalize on a 4 versus 2 on the B bomb site.
There goes Zipex in through Monster. Steel sliding up the ramp there, and that's going to be a great opening. Gets himself number 2. Trades all abound, though. Will leave a 2 versus 3 situation in favor of Astralis, actually. They have a great situation close plant. There's a flank coming as well from Device there through A. He's going to take his time about it. Doesn't have to do too much here. Henny, oh, he whiffs the shot. And there you go. Overtime on overpass here, Astralis. Oh, they can breathe a huge sigh of relief there to get to overtime. And overtime is so fantastic for them. It's the big reset button.
Immortals so close. But Astralis say not quite. And that 2K on the B bomb site was massive in that round, but they still don't make it there. Not yet. So we've seen some tournaments recently which have had 3 rounds a half in overtime and $16,000. That is not the norm. That is, at this point, I would say an experiment, which hasn't been favorable. It is, a lot of people haven't quite liked it, but we are at the major, so it will be the standard $10,000 starting money, 3 rounds per half, also referred to as MR3. MR5 being 5 rounds a half, but I don't know that anyone runs that at the moment. So indeed, it's MR3 10K, not the 16K you've seen elsewhere.
I like it. Gives you more sort of accountability to your economic choices. As if you do lose the first 2 rounds, and you do invest quite a lot in those first 2 rounds,
as Immortals have,
you don't have any money on the 3rd round, and so you're kind of on a weird UMP pistol buy.
Yeah, and we see the double AWPs from Immortals. Double AWPs from a CT side on the first round of overtime, I would say, is an all-in play, because it almost always decimates your economy in round 3 if you lose by elimination. You know, round 2 can differ, but a lot of the time things will suck on round 3. But they don't suck right now, not for Immortals. Henny starting as he means to go on. Dupree getting decapitated. Bolts is in an unexpected position, so Immortals are continuing the momentum. Almost a 2K from Bolts. He did good damage, but will it pay off for them?
Yeah, it's looking pretty tumultuous here. We get another frag there coming out of Monster. Steel just going straight forward for that one, leaving this into a 3 versus 2. A nice, that's a very cheeky aggression there from Steel. Sorry, rather a 4 versus 2, not a 3 versus 2, a 4 versus 2. That's a fantastic situation to be in for Immortals. They can play, you know, 2 bomb site. They can try to stack more towards the harder site to retake, which is A, which is what they might consider doing. Also, I think Steel has put himself in a position where he can very easily hear any footsteps towards the A side of the map, towards toilets in particular, and we'll see Astralis looking for the wrap hit onto the A site. 30 seconds to go. This is going to be really tough, though. There's AWPs to deal with. And there's one.
Shadow. Yes. That is just makes life even worse for him. He's exposed and he doesn't even know it. There's a photographer in the bushes and he's got all the info. 16 to 15. Immortals take the first round. A much needed first round when you're all in, as we previously mentioned. Astralis back on the buy, Device on the AWP, and the money indeed starts to dwindle for the T side. So this becomes even more important for them. The pressure is increased, it's compounded, it's multiplied. Standard setup from the Ts. The CTs though looking for aggression. Bolts making his way into connector. Henny around the toilet in a forward position. He can offer some support, but Bolts is forced backwards. All the grenades, maybe some warning for the CT side, but look at Henny's position, and would you have it any other way? Hyper-aggressive sniper. He's in no man's land. He's almost completely on his own. KNG is coming in for some support moving forward, but he's flashed off in the meantime. And now Henny's trapped behind the smoke. Fortunately for him, nobody's towards long, but the CTs don't know that. So Bolts is forced to come up long to try and support Henny in case he needs it. This is getting awkward for Immortals.
They still do have Henny in a close position. He's one of the AWPers in this world that is going to be able to deliver greatness from a position like this, but will it be this time? Oh, that is so fast from Glaive. The IGL of Astralis really making his mark on this game, top fragging, I believe, quite effectively, quite ahead of the pack there with 29 at the moment.
There was a big problem though for Henny in that he knows he couldn't scope because it would give his position away. Speaking of which, Device is being taken down and Bolts can back off, but that's why it was so awkward for Henny. He can't even, if he scopes, I think he gets the kill there, but he can't scope because he knows people are around the corner and it compromises his position yet more. So just a really awkward situation for Henny, but the round continues. 27 seconds left and Astralis not committing to anything just yet. The bomb's going towards A despite a kill towards B, and indeed the full rotation is there, but Lucas is pushed straight through Monster. Will the CTs rotate in time?
Oh, he goes to the peak. Very fast entry there from Dupree, the man to make it happen. And he's going to make the bomb happen as well. That's a great kill there, straight through the container. KNG looking for another one. He pulls out the AWP once again. The quick draw, not quick enough for Mr. Dupree there, as we'll see Lucas on 5 HP. And with that amount of health, he's probably not feeling all too confident about his chances in this one. But he'll give it a go. But it will be Dupree with an excellent round there. 3 kills. Entry frags, defensive frags. Dupree with a great round indeed. 16 to 16 now as the team's tied up.
I do. It was. I don't know what to think of Henny's positioning in that round, because yes, he is an aggressive AWPer, but that was very isolated. It turned out and very awkward. But we'll see. They still have double AWP, so at least monetary-wise, it hasn't hurt them too much, thanks to the success of the first round. So risks were taken. They didn't pay off in that respect. Kiabi and Dupree moving through connector. So this time, Bolts has got some company. And he's on his own with the M4, not the AK. All of the timing! Oh my god!
I actually could see on his camera, he was looking at the radar right then when that happens as well. So it's, yeah, that definitely hurts. That hurts. We can talk about that in a moment as we have Henny once again in toilets backing away. Oh, Steel at it again, so cheeky with these shenanigans on these monster pushes, and he's got the bomb. That is just massive.
Oh, Lucas somehow got a grenade kill on Kiabi coming out of connector into short B. Dupree's there as well, and Lucas is not covering Steel's back because he's got to cover short B. So Dupree, Steel turns around just in time. What a perfect 180. A pirouette perhaps. Device alone in a 1 versus 4. This is a pretty tense game at the moment. Can't expect him to get much done in that situation. Immortals are to take the lead into the second half. This is pretty crazy, Dan.
Yeah, Astralis really struggling, it seems. Like, it really looks like Immortals are I mean, of course, they only have 1 round in advantage, but it does feel like they're the more confident team right now. They're the team that are faltering less. They're the team that are willing to take some great risks here. Again, one of those pushes from Steel, picking up those kills. He's done so pretty effectively so far. I think his success rate is very high with that push. He gets good timings on it. And also, to that point as well, a lot of that does come down to your awareness as to what's happening in the round, what you think is most likely based on what has happened, where your teammates are. It's all these little bits of information that can help you inform you as to like what play you think is going to be the most optimal. And that goes to these the players having to check the mini-map every now and again. You got to see, where are all my teammates right now? Where was that action that I just heard across the map? All these sorts of things. So awareness, very crucial.
Device up to his usual tricks, but I think Immortals will be prepared by now. I'm not going to give him much of anything. And again, we have now Immortals going for the numbers game towards the connector area, but they don't have anybody around the balloon position. They don't have anybody in short B, although Henny is starting to make some moves around the upper area, because I think ideally you want some support from around there when it's a complete unknown, all these areas. Device firing off a shot, and he will back off towards the site. So Astralis playing deep. Don't want to get caught out in isolation. Immortals just playing the one AWP on the T side, which is good to see because they have in the past gone to 2, which again I do think is questionable, to say the least, on the T side in most situations. 3 players for Astralis still in the B bomb site, but Zipex is starting to move into a position where he might rotate. I think we had 4 flashbangs there on his way.
Yeah, and they're going really fast here, these Brazilians. Straight into the setup of the CT, straight through the smokes if they possibly can. Weird to use these flashbangs. Great positioning there from Kirby. However, Lucas able to respond in kind by the truck. Frags exchanged all over the place here, as only 2 are left now for Immortals, but perhaps that's enough. It's just bolts now after all these frags start to come in quite the flurry. And the bomb now can be planted in the moment of calm. But it's not over yet here. The fight continues. Astralis forced the issue. Boss has no position to back off to, and that will be the defuse there. Surviving with the last man are Astralis.
Looking for the AWP. AWP found for Astralis. Very important pickup for them. And there comes the defuse. Bolt's not quite sure where that last player was, but ended up focusing on the player he knew was in the stairs position. Landed a kill, but another kill came in at the same time. The final kill of the round to make it 17 apiece. We're looking for one of these teams to make it to 19-17. Failing that, we will be headed towards a second overtime. There's an AWP on the floor. No, there's an AK for Henny. So no AWP in this round for the T side. We'll see. I mean, maybe that ends up being a benefit for them. Maybe they can play a faster round. Speaking of fast rounds, 3 CTs making their way towards the connector position, towards that balloon area. Smoke will delay things. Still playing close. Not much the CTs can do in that situation, but admire the smoke. Dupree off angle towards Monster. Device having a look towards Long. So Astralis, they'll keep these 2 players in that connector area. Steal with his off angle for the time being. And he's just going to make his way over there on his own. He's got Henny in for support, but Henny's got the bomb. So if Steal goes down, how does Henny even trade in this situation? He can't really take the gamble with the bomb, and indeed he will make his way out. Glaive just about ready to get that kill. I think Steal, that was his for the taking. Didn't quite happen for him though.
Yeah, and now the pressure really starts to fall onto Immortals. Obviously they have to get something done. They've got 4 players left. They need to get the play onto the bomb site now. They can't really mess around too much with picks anymore, but an overpass is a bit finicky like that. Going for the entry frag here into that B bomb site. The return fragging here is pretty impressive there from Zipex. 2 kills for him, taking all the frags. And we'll see whether or not it is actually wrong in the overlay there, taking some time to update, but we can see that right now that Immortals are in quite the predicament. Just Lucas left in a 1 versus 4. The bomb obviously down in no man's land. And how on earth he'll recover that, I don't know. And he's going to get shot in the back, which makes life all the more awkward.
That is brutal. I mean, Zipex pretty much just won the round right there. 2 kills through the smoke, just aiming at the tracers. And that was enough. Simply aiming at the tracers. I mean, what a way to put your team into their first match point. Well, well, well then. Let's see what Immortals can do in this situation. Henny's down to the CZ, but they've got 4 AKs. They've got a bag of grenades. and opportunity still exists for the Brazilian team. Device has Kiabi in for support. He's back against the wall again. Hasn't made this play for quite a while. Obviously, when overtime began, they were on the T side, so this may catch Immortals off guard. Just like...
Ooh. Interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
So all our PCs have all paused and hands off the control. Yeah, there's an issue. So I was going to say, you see Kiabi's position here. So just like when Steel went to, he was on Monster on the CT side and he kind of surfed up or whatever he did.
Yeah.
So he had a massive blind spot, like the gimmick essentially. There's maybe a gimmick there that may be enough to win them the match, but there's a network connection issue, we are told by production. Thank you. So while they resolve this, I mean, what a moment to have that.
Yeah.
Pause. 15, not 15, 14. It's 18, 17. Yeah.
But at the very least, no one died. So that's really that's a really important fact that no action happened in the round.
It's the best time to have a freeze if you're going to have one.
That's a great consolation there.
Yeah. No tournament is a stranger to teething problems on the first day, so onwards and upwards. But for one of these teams, it's upwards.
Yep.
But for both teams, it's onwards. Because it'll all be in play tomorrow.
That quote's from Buzz Lightyear, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Onwards and upwards. I think it is, isn't it?
I think you're thinking of To Infinity and Beyond.
Oh, okay.
Bloody hell, Dan.
It's been a long time, man. I don't know why I associated it with like that. That's very strange, isn't it?
Me neither. I can't make the connections that you do in your brain.
I know it's difficult. Well, to be fair, you have the most crazy connections going on in your brain. Where your brain is wired is quite the conundrum.
It's beautiful, Dan. It is beautiful. So let's see if I mean, Astralis are pretty chill, right? All they can do at this point is play another overtime. But Immortals, it's like their first day's results absolutely hang in the balance in this one round. You know, there's more to play if the worst happens for Astralis, and you know they're in good spirits. But Immortals they're just hanging, man. They're on a knife edge right now. That's pressure. It's
been an interesting game between these two teams. You know, we've seen some great performances from both, of course, but I think Zipex and Device have been missing just a little bit, taking nothing away from Immortals. But that's one thing that I found fairly interesting as we've watched this match here so far. But Immortals, they fill me with confidence because I see a lot of improvements in their game, and this is something that we saw Zach say in the interview there with Scoots earlier, that they're a team that they've been grinding the tournaments a lot, and that's something that helps them, that they learn way more from that than they do from the regular practice. And I think it really does show, because there's definitely an increased depth in their play. And let's not forget, Kianji hasn't been in the lineup for a huge amount of time. Yeah, and I think they're still learning what works for them in that respect, because I don't recall the match where it was very weird time to have two ops on the T side, and that really slows down your game. Yeah. And I can't imagine that many teams, if any teams, have Stratego for two ops on the T side, right? But I feel like it felt to me like, okay, what are our team comfortable with? Let's go with that. But it's an experiment. It tried, didn't really work out for them. So hopefully they're still developing and growing over time. So we can see. Someone said with regards to my mouse pad discussion and surfaces underneath it, that nothing has a large pad underneath the pad he plays on, which I think he still does. Yeah, but I just went for a straight wooden canvas board thing. I don't know what they're called, from an art store in the UK. So I used to do it because it's just more comfortable. Just like I didn't do it because of the consistency of the surface, but just comforts. The problem for me was that the wooden board would start to move around. I'll just move all the boards together, so it just didn't really work. But I was playing on a bureau at the time. Right, so it's got like a wooden surface and then a green felt in a lot of it. So I had all kinds of problems, man. I would always have like the spare mouse pad under the keyboard, actually, because I like that. It's just like because I don't like a lot of those rests, the wrist rest things that you have, like the gel things, like they're quite extreme. But I know that there are some pro players that do enjoy those, but I like just a little bit, and the mouse pad is perfect for me in that sense, just because it's just a little bit of extra added comfort there. I cannot recall ever seeing a professional player at a CS tournament with a wrist rest.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
Yeah, I know some Quake pros that used to do it. Well, just one or two in particular, but.
But do you know any who do it now?
It's a good question.
In
I guess
fact,
I'll
like
find out pretty soon.
any people in any game on LAN. Like, I can't think of a single game. Like, I used to watch.
Sturmy used to. I'm not sure if he still does. But
I used to watch StarCraft as well. Like some MLG tournaments. I used to subscribe to that and watch StarCraft. But I mean, you're not seeing the keyboard in the camera shot a lot of the time because it's a wide team shot, right? You're going to see it more in CS. So I have no idea for StarCraft, but I can't. I mean, if any of you at home know somebody who uses a wrist rest in LAN, not like tier 7 Counter-Strike, but reasonable. I would love to hear it. I don't know if there's any like medical benefit of them, or if it's just like
that's the thing. Yeah, it's
like a placebo. Like, oh, my wrist is better now because it's on this.
Because it's on a pillow. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
it's true. It is true. Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure initially there may not have been, like when it first came about. Perhaps there wasn't too much research on it. I have no idea.
Maybe it's just a genius creation. Why don't we?
It could be.
Make this accessory that people will buy.
It could be one of those accidentally brilliant things that no one's caught on to yet. Maybe that's the next thing.
I don't think it is.
No?
No. But it could be, but maybe, but no.
It's not for me, though. I tried them. I didn't like it, to be honest.
I almost bought one recently, but no. I am on a bit of a shopping spree.
Yeah, I know. Just anything relating to keyboards, and you've been there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't gone as far as the wrist rest just yet. So we're waiting for our GoTV to come back up. It's not back up just yet, but with the mouse movements, it would look like the players are on the server.
One thing I can't do is actually tilt my keyboard, as you see Dupree there. Like, just generally a lot of pros, they tilt their keyboards a lot. And I think for some it was a space concern, but then a lot of them don't actually use like 60% and stuff like that. So, but I can't tilt my keyboard like that. It's just a slight tilt, but not nearly as much as that.
Dupree doesn't seem to have a key on his escape button.
Yeah.
And is it F8? He doesn't seem to have a key on F8 either, which is very curious actually. So I do wonder why he's removed those keys from his keyboard. Because it's not like you're going to press escape by accident, right?
Yeah, I just removed the Windows key.
Or F8. And that's another thing about programmable keyboards. It's that you can just not have it do anything at all.
That's the best thing about the Windows key, though, is because it's like, press this button to lose the round. that's what it is, basically.
Yeah. That's very curious. Unless I'm just seeing a weird light. But no, I think he's got the keys removed. So that's interesting.
It's also cool to see like the general evolution of the way people use, well, basically the way people do their setups, the pro players. Because back in the really old days, the mouse pads were very small because desk space was very small. Players would play with their wrists just on the edge of the surface of the desk. And you'd literally just use your wrist. The sensitivities would be a lot higher. Things that, back, in the ball mice days, and even in the early optical days, that was kind of how things were. But then slowly over time, people realized it's more comfortable to have your arm on the desk. There's so many different styles developed. Now pretty much everyone has at least their forearm on the desk to some extent. And I think that's like much better for you as well, from like a posture standpoint.
Yeah,
much healthier for your shoulders.
Probably for RSI as well, if your arm is on the wrist. But I'm a wrist player, so it's too late for me, man.
Yeah, your sensitivity is very slow for someone who is a wrist player, because I'm a wrist player and mine's, I think, twice as fast as yours.
I almost have half the sensitivity of you, and I've probably got double the RSI.
Yeah, I don't have RSI, so
yeah, I had
it once though.
I got mad RSI going on. Bowling makes it a lot worse actually. If you have RSI symptoms at home, don't go anywhere near a bowling ball, because it will annihilate you.
That actually happened to me once where, actually fairly recently when we were in California, I went bowling and I was using a ball that was too heavy for me with the style that I was using. So I actually for like a week had the RSI symptoms. I was super worried because I don't need this in my life right now.
Yeah.
Because I started practicing for QuakeCon then as well. So I was like, oh god, this sucks.
Yeah. The playing the Nintendo Switch with the controls on the side is flaring up my RSI as well. So, but I got the Pro controller, man, because I'm Pro. Moses is still bodying us at Mario Kart. It's actually getting worse. The thing is, though, he knows there are 70 million courses, and he's using all the shortcuts in that game. I don't know the shortcuts in that game. There's so many maps. Like, how do you even learn them? Yeah. We are told by production that the game will be starting shortly. So stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned.
Man, it's the whole setup thing for pro players is awesome. And it's really cool when you see like the...
When you say setup thing, could you explain what exactly you're talking about?
Just you know how
like
they how they sit, how they have their arm on you know what again it depends on like if you are going to be a palm grip player, you know what kind of mouse are you using, you know, for the palm grip, and then what sensitivity you're using, and then that affects, you know, how you have your arm on the desk, because you're going to want to have like more space, more sweeping movements with your arm. But if you're a wrist player, then there's loads of different ways to do that, and there's so many different ways to do it. And generally speaking, people just work out what's comfortable for them. And with a lot of the pro players, and there's not a lot of copying necessarily. They just kind of like figure it out as time goes on. So just really like curious to see like how different people do it. And it's really interesting. Sometimes you get some really good inspiration from that as well. Because there are some general trends of like good practices when it comes to like creating your setup. Again, like based on, are you a claw grip player? Are you a palm grip player? You know, do you have high sensitivity, high sense, low sense, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, really fun. So much diversity there. But we're back into the game. So let's talk about that. 18-17, if you're just joining us, you've missed quite the battle. And Astralis really, I think in some ways, lucky to find themselves in this position where they currently are.
Yeah, indeed they are. Immortals up against it now. Match point has come and gone, and now it's been handed to Astralis in this situation. And again, they will continue with their push, but Bolts might be ready for it. In fact, he's able to back off, and I mean, either he runs away or maybe he goes towards where the music is and tries to play an off angle. But no, Dupree will rip his face off. And this essentially forces Immortals to go one way, which means a flank might be inevitable unless they choose to go and fight towards B. But their lurker's gone. Maybe Lucas will be their new lurker, starting to back off. I do wonder if he'll head towards the B bomb site. A minute 5 on the clock for Immortals.
And Astralis ran this exact same round with a slight difference before, where in the previous one they stacked way more players towards B. They pushed Sewers and Monster at the same time, and they had Device playing aggressively early on towards Fountain. So it's a very similar type of aggression, but they just made it a little bit safer generally, and they didn't have Device playing so aggressively with the AWP. So again, it's a team like Astralis, they have so many different variants of the same sort of strategies that it can be difficult to ever really put your finger on what they're going to do. So it's very important that you can just like find a way to force your game style. Immortals have been quite good at that on their T side. So here they go in towards B.
There is massive time pressure here for Immortals. They've chosen to rotate towards the B bomb site. They've only got 3 of their 4 players there, with one playing the cutoff towards the connector position. 16 seconds and they haven't had a single engagement. They barely fired a bullet. Lucas taken down as well. They still need to make it onto the side and plant the bomb. The bomb falling down the slope. They're going for the fight, and that's a complete disaster for them. Astralis took the round away from them almost before it began. 19-17, crisis averted. Immortals on the cusp of a great statement to make in their first match of their first major, but no, Astralis prevail.
Yeah, and I love seeing the kind of reactions of the players, you know, after the game is done and so on. I think you can see that there's a huge amount of relief there from Device. I think it's a bit of a slow start for him so far into the tournament, and we'll see, you know, how that progresses as things move forwards. But yeah, that's such a save, isn't it, for Astralis? Immortals had so many fantastic opportunities. I think they've shown that, you know, that preparation has really paid off. This is a team to be very afraid of, because let's not forget, Astralis are indeed the defending champions here, so we have a lot of interesting games ahead when Immortals take to their seats.
Yeah, and even though they didn't win the match, Immortals, it's still a great performance for them. And if you look at their struggles time after time to qualify for the major in the first place, even in their loss, I think it's a good way to begin. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously, because they lost the match, but it's still a good way for them, all things considered, to start their journey into major tournaments.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's a team, like, as they put on the desk, you know, no matter how much preparation you've done against Astralis, they just have so many layers to their Counter-Strike that it's just very difficult to play against them, no matter how much preparation you've done. So definitely a good job by Immortals, although they did lose the map. We'll see what the devs think of that now as we hand it back over to Paul.
There we go then. The champions have come through against the debutants, but it was very close, wasn't it? They scraped through with an overtime win in the end. Had a bit of everything in there, Janko, didn't it?
Easiest prediction of my life.
Just scraped it through.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a very close game going into overtime, but the truth is I haven't really seen much from Immortals that would tell me they had prepared something special for Astralis here. You know, even on the T side, early on there were some very strange rounds where, you know, Bolts would try to walk out of Monster by himself to go for a contact play while the rest of his team was around Connector and still in Playground. It did seem mostly to rely on their CT side and just taking gambles, right? Sending multiple players towards the A bomb site in search of aggression, and sometimes they got lucky with it and were on a quick flank when Astralis would go for their quick B execute.
Just to build on that, the only two things, well, the one thing I noticed twice that they got away with was one time they got punished for it, the other time it's that A aggression you're talking about is stopping that B execute, right, from Astralis. That came in one round and there was no one in the B side, so they just got retaken on, and when it happened earlier and they were on a force buy, the Immortals guys did the right thing, which was go for sewer control. They just had a terrible setup there, and sewer just got absolutely smashed out, punished, and then the bomb site was taken, bomb went down, and pretty hard to recover from there. I want to note, I think Kirby has to be one of the best players at the toilet section of the map on the CT side. The amount of times he swindled through smokes like a moth to a flame, coming up behind, multi-frags here, there, and everywhere, making the Immortals guys' life super difficult. That guy has to get a lot of props for that first half performance.
Yeah, and also in the second half, I mean, Astralis starting off strong, and then in a number of rounds, they would get relatively easily entrance into the bomb site, get the favorable trades, but then in the afterplan situation, they would sometimes be just overly aggressive for no reason, or, you know, just lose situations that they usually don't tend to.
Yeah, a few times it seemed like Immortals played almost a solo kind of style in their first half. They kind of pegged that back a bit in the second one. Do you feel that was contributed to their comeback?
I think, you know, on that CT side, Yanko pointed it out perfectly, they did take a lot of gambles, right? So those gamble stacks, it meant that if Astralis was going for an all-in on a bomb site, what was going to happen was they always had the information, or they made the right gamble. So, and it all paid off, right? That's not going to happen every time. I think, you know, their first half, sure, it was actually closer than it looked. There was a lot of around. I was saying to Yanko in the green room that on that T side for them, because you know that Astralis are playing such fundamental Counter-Strike, you're getting the bomb down and you're playing after plant situations. It's just unfortunate they weren't able to convert many of them. Otherwise, it may have been a lot closer in that first half. Instead of a 9-6, could have been an 8-7, could have been a, you know, either way.
Funny thing as well, on the CT side, there were 6 diffuses out of 9 rounds.
That's what happens when you gamble, right?
Yeah.
If you're leaving bomb sites open, they're going to get that bomb down time and time again, and then it compounds because they can get more gun rounds. The loss bonus builds up. You have to. There's a lot more pressure rounds, especially when you're on the back foot and you only have like 1 or 2 match points to deal with.
Absolutely. Let's hear from one of the victors right now. Dupree joins us from the player area. Dupree, congratulations. Championship winning form, perhaps not, but day one, first matches, they're always a bit edgy like this, and you've played a very good team. I guess you're satisfied.
Yeah, definitely. It's as Fallen said, a win is a win. So we're just happy that we won, even though we felt like we should have closed out the game a little bit earlier. But I mean, Immortals played great, and in the end, we're just happy that we won.
Were you a little not upset, but were you a little like, oh Christ, how have we ended up with Immortals first round? 'Cause it's a tough game, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, obviously Immortals is a really great team, and they're a team that has just added a new player, and in general, it's their first time at a major as well for the majority of the players, if not all of them. So they're very hungry to perform here and actually go out and play well, and they sure did. And the double up from Kenji and Henny is a really hard thing to play against. So it's a tough opponent, but we knew we could beat them, and we're just here to win. So.
I guess pressure is everything. You already know about the pressure, having been the champions already. But I think what a lot of people have been talking about, the analysts here on the panel, the public, the press, the fans and what have you, is this, you know, skipping ESL 1 Cologne. Is it going to be a good thing or a bad thing? Talk to us about it from your perspective.
So the decision behind skipping Cologne was mainly to actually prepare us much for the major, because this is the tournament we want to defend our title in the most, since it's obviously the second and most important tournament of the year. So going into this as prepared as possible was our main priority, and going to Cologne and actually even playing even too much or get burned out, as I mentioned, some of the SK guys mentioned, then I believe that we've actually made the right decision, and time will tell if it actually pays off in the way we want. So we'll see.
All right, good stuff. I've got Sponge and Yanko alongside me. I'm sure they've got a few burning questions as well.
To build on that, you said, you know, you took that off to prepare, right? You probably can't tell me, and you probably won't tell me, but in which way did
he's going to try anyway.
Which way did you prepare the most? Is this looking into your opponents to try and have a good game plan for each and every matchup? Because I know you guys do that very well. You have a lot of things in store, and you know how to play around certain team styles. Or was it more going back and adding more things to your arsenal? Because I saw you guys falling back on that B execute again on this one, and it didn't really pay off for you here. So
I think it's a two-way thing, and obviously I'm not going to reveal any like super
Could you please?
No,
It'd be more
no,
interesting that way.
no, that's gonna be too easy for the other teams. No, but we've looked onto our own game plan, but also we're also looking to study the opponent a lot more. But obviously, main thing has been to look at ourselves and see what type of tactics works for us and what does not, and clean up a little bit in our playbook and actually see what works the best for us. And yeah, we fell back to the execute we have on the B bomb side on overpass because it usually works.
Yep.
And this time, Immortals decided to. Most of the times, I think they ran a B 5-man retake, which was really great for their side. We were just having a horrible afterplan situation, and our communication was too bad to actually hold them back. So they just picked us off one at a time. So kudos to them. But in the end, then yeah.
Yeah, talking a bit more about the map. First, were you surprised by the fact that they would let overpass through? And second, we heard from Zach, he said that they knew that this map was going to be played like 3 weeks ago and that they prepared specifically for you guys. Do you feel like while you were playing, did you feel like you were getting countered by something that they were doing?
I think the only one that mentioned being countered, actually having something strong against him, was Sipix. I felt he got pushed on B, like on the offense. When he was playing Terrorist outside of Monster, he got pushed quite a while. Quite a lot, that's more right. And I believe that that's the only thing we actually felt. Overall, I think they prepare for us as a team and not as individuals. So, I mean, apart from that, no, I don't really feel like it. And yeah, we were quite surprised that Overpass actually let through. We were kind of expected to play either Mirage or Inferno. So.
Funny that, isn't
yep,
it?
That's exactly what our analysts picked out on the panel as well, Peter. One quick question, so I guess what other people might say, some fans and obviously people that are against you to win another championship here at the Major will probably look at this result and go, ooh, maybe they're a bit rusty after not playing a tournament. Any fact, any truth to that rumour?
Well, playing the first game at a major and the first game at a tournament in general is always a little bit shaky. You have to get into the setting of playing at another computer and having to work together as a unit a lot more than you do online. People play differently on LAN, and you also saw the fact that SK was up, what was it, like 11-0, and then Penta almost came back and won. So I don't think there's anything to say in the best of one, and especially in the Swiss system where a lot of the matches go in the favor of the underdog. So
listen, Paul, let's remember, at the last major, they managed to lose to Godsend somehow and still go on to win the whole thing.
Well, they lost two.
I wouldn't be worried too much about this.
They lost twice
result.
in the last game and still won the major. So, good start for you, Peter, and congrats to your team. Pass on my congratulations. We'll see you tomorrow for day 2.
Thank you.
There we go then. Dupree and Astralis are through after a shaky match, I guess, against Immortals, but what we expect on day 1. The champions are through to a 1-0 standing. We'll take a look at the standings and the schedule for day 2 a little bit later on, but let's just wrap up on this match between our two analysts as well. Spangela, last words for Immortals. It's not the end of the road for them, obviously. We've still got plenty of chances to go through. On that form, though, can you see them maybe squeaking into the top 8?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible if they play like that. And obviously, I'm going to do a classic Jason line, Paul. It's going to depend on the matchups.
Brilliant. Couldn't have put it better.
Can't get deeper analysis than
You're
that,
the kind of deep analyst that if this was football and it was 0-0 at half-time, I'd ask you, what do you think the teams need to do in the second half? And you'd be like, I think one of them needs to score.
Kick a few more goals, probably, yeah.
Yeah.
That's basic.
It's deep, man. It's late and it's really deep.
If teams want to continue with these vetoes that don't really make sense, that's fine. Just make sure the games are close. That's good. You know.
Well, I thought you like the strat games.
I do, but at the same time, the viewers like the entertaining games. So we have to please them, and we have to iron our shirts and flip some coins and do all the fun memes. All
right, that's cool. That's plenty of. He's nailed about 15 memes in one there. That's pretty brutal. Let's take a look. See, nearly got it there. Let's take a look at the standings right now and show you where we are after day number 1 of the PGL Major. Obviously, teams at 1-0 right now on the left-hand side. Virtus Pro, Gambit, Fnatic, SK Gaming, big taking out FaZe, probably the surprise of the day. Cloud9 also as one of the challenger teams picking up a win. G2 also as a challenger team, amazingly here, but also picking up a big win over Na'Vi. And the champions safely in to the 1-0 bracket. On the other side of it, look at Penta, Flipside, Mouse Sports, Vega. Perhaps we expected those, but FaZe, North, Na'Vi, and Immortals. 2 of those could face each other.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
To see
it could be FaZe Na'Vi.
The FaZe one is the only one that I'm really like, no, that's not what we want to see.
No, really.
Like the Na'Vi G2, that could have gone either way. North Cloud9, same kind of thing. Yeah. Obviously, Astralis and models we favour.
Should we put everyone out of their misery?
I
Show
would
them
love
the
to
matchups
know
for
what
tomorrow.
the matchups are tomorrow.
Should we take a look then?
Let's do it.
Let's have a look.
Let's take a peek.
I feel like we need a drum roll for day 2. Here we go. It's Penta versus North. Mouse Sports versus FaZe. That's a tough match for both teams. Flipside versus Na'Vi. We get the all CIS affair between those two. Vega Squadron will take on Immortals. That's going to be a big game. Big versus Cloud9. What a reward for those two to play each other. One of those will end up being 2-0. Gambit will take on G2. Astralis versus SK. And Virtus Pro versus Fnatic. What a couple of matches to end the day with. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we have a couple of great storylines here. Obviously, Astralis versus SK Gaming. Both teams the biggest favorites to win the whole tournament. Virtus Pro versus Fnatic. Another historic matchup that we had. Mouse Sports versus FaZe. No Nico versus his old team yet again. The CIS matchup.
I mean, that's
the flip side
fun.
Na'Vi won. Also, big Cloud9. We had that at the major qualifier too.
Yep, we did. Chad, you looking forward to day 2?
I'm looking forward to Astralis SK.
Because guess what?
It already is day 2.
It's already day 2.
Fancy that. It's all right, Paul. I don't have to come in until 4 p.m. tomorrow, mate.
No
so
problem.
you
We should be back here in a little under 9 hours from now
You
for
should,
day
Paul.
number
I'm not
2.
coming back either.
Right. Yanko's not coming back at all.
Third and fourth game.
Unless he's good, that is, for tomorrow. I hope you've enjoyed day 1. We've really enjoyed it. It's been a fantastic day of Counter-Strike. We're looking forward to day number 2 here at the PGL Major Kraków. We'll see you tomorrow.